Okay, so we are now live, and hopefully you guys can hear me because just last week I upgraded my system and got myself a brand new monitor and a whole bunch of brand new parts. And this is going to be the first stream since I've pretty much put my system back together again. And it was a bit embarrassing because I was like struggling to figure out earlier, like, okay, should I download OBS and do it that way, or should I just continue through using Hangouts and use a secondary monitor? And I decided, all right, I'm just gonna plug in one of my old monitors and do it that way because it takes a little bit too long to do it through OBS. So I decided, why not, just do it the normal way and have multi screens and not worry too much about whether I'm going to be able to actually be able to set this up. I'm getting distracted by Twitter. Okay. Let me just make sure that went out. Okay, it did, and it did. Okay, so we should be good now. All right, so let me get to the live control center, and then I guess we could start. As there's actually, I'm not going to be able to actually get through all of the news there is today because there's so much of it, and I've waited quite a while before I've done one of these streams. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get it all done today. Let's see. Where do we want to start? I guess we'll start with the news of the hour. Let's see here. Where's the fucking share button? Okay. So, I'm not too sure how many people saw it, but what was it, yesterday? Was it yesterday that this happened? I think it was yesterday. But I believe yesterday, an Iranian immigrant to the United States went over to the YouTube headquarters in is it San Bruno? What is it? San Bruno. So a gun woman went on over to YouTube and shot 3 people. Didn't manage to kill them, and after apparently, I'm not sure if she actually engaged with police or she just popped 3 people and then popped herself. I'm not really too sure, but it's just kind of a bad event that I mocked yesterday and made fun of yesterday on Twitter just because I thought it was funny. I thought it was it's fine to laugh at something, especially when nobody died. The only person that died was a woman that shot herself, and the other people are just in the hospital. Apparently it's the old guy, 36-year-old guy that's in bad condition in the hospital. But yeah, actually, let's see here. Did it say social media star in Iran? I don't think she was. I think she was a fucking nobody. As far as I know, she wasn't anybody. She was a fucking nobody. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're talking about here, but yeah, she's just some fucking random nobody. Showed up and shot 3 people for seemingly no reason. They're claiming that it's because she was outraged by YouTube's policies, but that's only based on a quote from her father. He's the only one that's made the statement that she was angry at the time, right before she did the shooting. But that wasn't in any way the purpose of her channel. As far as I can tell, the purpose of her channel wasn't anything specific either. She was kind of all over the place. And we saw that about another person too in the past who I can't quite remember who it was. They had like a variety channel before they did something fucking crazy. I can't quite remember who that was, and that kind of tells you a lot about who that was. And I'm sure that right now this is Nazim's 5 minutes of fame before she fades into total obscurity and no one really remembers or cares who she was. The only thing that she was noted as was an animal rights activist and vegan. Those are the big two that seem to be pretty central to who she is as a YouTuber, is that she is an animal rights activist and vegan. There were people saying that she did the shooting and had a job, and I saw that on Twitter, and I've been unable to say whether that was the case or not. I tried to look into it, but I've been kind of hard pressed for time, as I always am, and I wasn't able to track down whether that was true or not. Religion doesn't appear to be the motivation in this, although she was Muslim. I see people saying, "Oh, she wasn't Muslim." No, she was Muslim. Whether she was like an active practicing Muslim is beyond my knowledge, but she was a Muslim. So there's no reason to deny that, other than you don't want this one to be chalked up for political motivations, and that included in the list of the number of Muslims that commit terror attacks in the year. I saw Gavin McGinnis mocking her, saying that like when you have thick eyebrows like she does, don't cut your hair and don't basically style it as though that it's behind you because it draws attention to your fucking huge eyebrows. I agree with that. She has thicker eyebrows than I do a hairline, and I have a thick hairline. So yeah, she's a fucking nobody, and I don't really care. I don't really want to talk about this other than this fucking nobody showed up at YouTube. She shot 3 people. 3 people are in the hospital recovering, and the only one that's dead is her because she fucking offed herself. There's not much more to this than that. The irony is that for quite a while now, YouTube as a corporation, and I don't have this ready to show you, but I've done a video on it in the past. One of their big things that they promote is immigration, legal or otherwise. YouTube has financially contributed and propagandizes as a company in favor of mass migration. They have done this in many, 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 many videos. They financially contribute to organizations, NGOs that facilitate mass migration. They are in favor of this. And I find it ironic that an immigrant that can barely speak the language is the one that pulled the trigger at their campus in California. Because one of the things is that a consequence of bringing in people into this country is that they're not all winners. They're not all physicists and fucking, goody two shoes tax contributors and voters and all the rest. Like, they're not everybody you're going to get is going to be a winner. As far as I can tell, the winner in her family is her father, because one of the things that I noted about her is that she appeared at least a few times in videos, probably in her father's home, and her father's wealthy. Because one of the things about veganism and her kind of politics, like not environmentalism, but animal rights activism, that's a very bourgeois hobby. And veganism is also very bourgeois. It's so bourgeois that I would be willing to say that you can means test it for households with a net worth or a net income of $250,000 annually or higher. I'd be willing to say that that is likely true. That the more wealthy you are, the more likely you are to be a vegan. So this girl, as far as I could tell, didn't do YouTube for a career. She was from a very bourgeois family. There's no reason for her to be particularly devastated by the fact that her no-name personality and channel was not making as much money as it was a year ago or 2 years ago, when she wasn't making money in any case. If she was somebody that had $1 million contracts and went off through her rocker and lost everything, it would make sense for her to do something crazy. But she was a nobody. Somebody needs to point to one of her channels or something that she was doing where she was making a lot of money. She was a nobody. So her motivations to show up at YouTube and shoot people because if she had demonetized videos, that makes no sense. It makes no sense for that to be her motivation. If she had mental health issues, that makes a lot more sense. Because she was already from a wealthy family. She didn't need the money, as far as I could tell. and she wasn't making money off of YouTube. It wasn't her career. So, yeah, I don't think her motivations were economic, and I'll just leave it at that. And I don't think we really need to go much more into that. I'll check chat real quick just to see if anybody's saying anything. Baczynski says, fucking A, watching the shit show that is the Lula trial for our Supreme Court. Don't believe your outlets. They're full of Lula apologists. I'm not really sure what you mean by that, Baczynski. You'll have to follow up. She definitely had mental health issues. Well, the thing is that can you tell between the fact that she doesn't speak English well? It's a lot harder to grasp, somebody's mental status when they can't speak English well. And she had a thick as shit accent. People are saying her ass is thick, her hair is thick. Now her accent is thick. She made a. Oh, well, that was true. Graham, you bring up a good point. She did seem pretty paranoid. I'm pretty paranoid as a person. I don't think YouTube's fucking persecuting me. And I'm pretty paranoid. So, she had a very clear victim complex as far as I could tell. And, maybe that was one of the factors that did contribute to the shooting, was that she was a paranoid, deluded fucking bourgeois bitch. So I bring up this article from The Hill, which is trauma surgeon, who was apparently the person that is overseeing the victims of the shooting, says that he wants to see an end to gun violence after the shooting at YouTube's headquarters. So this guy is likely more competent than I am, wealthier than I am, probably more intelligent than I am. I don't know how to be a surgeon. I have a very select amount of skills, and they're only so advanced. This guy's, like I said, wealthy for a reason, competent. He's probably competent enough that if I got injured, I want him as my surgeon. What he's not is a politician. Because I thought this was a misquote until I read this and listened to him, and you can listen to him in this video. This is fucking stupid. And I'll tell you why. So what the doctor in the situation is not saying is that, violence is dreadful. I feel terrible for these people. I'm going to do everything that I can to get them to recover. These things happen, but, we're going to do our best to get these people back on their feet. I'm working hard. Everyone is. The nurses are, et cetera, et cetera. He's not saying that. What he's calling for is a general end to gun violence. And the United States, if you include suicides, has a disproportionate amount of gun violence. Still, even with violent crime going down and down and down, if you include suicide, domestics, and gang violence in the inner cities, it's a bit disproportionate. It could be lower. And I think it's fair to say that. People can say that violent crime used to be higher. That is correct. But we still do have an issue with violent crime in different parts of the country. We have a mass shooting problem, etc. We have a problem with violence in the United States. But that is not the same thing as saying that we need to end gun violence. Because when you say end gun violence, my interpretation of what you're saying is we need to go from however many tens of thousands of cases to 0 cases. That is how I interpret when you say we need to end gun violence. That's how I interpret it. Because that's how it's being literally taken, that we need to end rape. We need to end domestic violence. We need to end misogyny. We need to end sexism. We need to end X. We need to end racism. Like, when you say those statements, those are absolute statements. Those are statements not, we need to tamp this down, we need to lower these statistics, we need to have a new policy, we need to do blah, 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 blah. No, you're saying that we need to end something so that it no longer feasibly exists in society. And whether this person knows it or not, and like I said, this doctor's not a politician, he's a surgeon, but it's California, so who the fuck knows whether he knows this or not. When you make these kind of absolute statements, what you're calling for, knowingly or unknowingly, is a totalitarian solution to the problem. Because the only way that you're going to end gun violence is with a totalitarian solution. Because you're talking legally owned firearms, legally purchasable firearms, firearms that have been owned for how many fucking decades, if not 100 years, so many, however a gun can last and be maintained. We're talking historic weapons, and we're talking illegal weapons. The only way to end gun violence is with policies so totalitarian and draconian that they would be comparable to third world nations. That is how you end gun violence. And guess what? You're never going to do it. It's a utopian call to action. It's ridiculous and so fanciful that a reporter should have said to him, like, do you mean like lower the statistics, or are you like promoting some sort of totalitarian solution? Because what it does is it checks this guy, and then he has to adjust his rhetoric. So that way he doesn't sound like he's a fucking lunatic. But unfortunately, with the press who are taking this guy's statement, they're never going to interject. Because they're likely on board with that. Because again, these are Californian journalists, so they're likely on board with, I don't even know, gun ban. We're gonna get to it, but I got a video coming up about it. Gun ban, gun confiscation. I don't even know anymore. It depends on who you're talking to, and it's just a clarification. Like, okay, how illiberal do you want to get? How totalitarian do you want to get to solve this issue? When it's not really any kind of solution, especially as it relates to the laws, because it's not actually adjusting for the illegal gun movement, the black market of firearms that already exists in an extremely liberal nation when it comes to firearms. There's still a black market for firearms. So what do you want to do there? Do you have any solution there? Because we're already liberal, and there's still a black market. So how exactly do you want to deal with that? And I've never heard a single fucking thing from any of these people how we're going to end gun violence as it relates to illegal firearms. How do we solve that issue? So I'd love to hear one of these people talk about it. But let's move to, was there anything I wanted to talk about this? Yeah, it's just this was like one of the initial articles from Reuters where they talk about she was angry with the company. She was deluded, that's for sure. So she probably had mental health issues, but I question whether it was for that exact reason. I think people are a little bit too trigger happy when it comes to saying that it was specifically her hatred of YouTube because of demonetization. I think it was something else. What do we want to jump to next? I guess we'll jump to next because I just mentioned it. So I'm gonna do a video on this. So I'm only gonna talk about it for so long. I actually have the script all but done, with the exception of one or two sentences that I need to script out. But that video is pretty much done. It's just a matter of when I can get to it. I'm hoping tomorrow will be the day. If anything goes wrong, it won't happen. But the good news is that I'm right back to work, and I got a few scripts in the works, and I think they're going to be pretty good. I just have to have time to actually, voice them. You know what I mean? Record them and edit them. But I rebounded really quick after I wiped my hard drive and reinstalled everything. I got everything where it needs to be now. So I'm glad that I took care of that quickly, so I don't have to waste too much time not actually putting out any kind of content, because there's actually a lot going on and a lot to talk about. So this is a sign that you got a controversial article, and that's when you have 4,621 comments. And so for those of you that aren't American and aren't constitutional law buffs, John Paul Stevens is a former Supreme Court justice, and he actually was I don't think he wrote the dissenting opinion, but he was one of the dissenting opinions on the case. Oh God, was it Heller? Hang on. I got it here. Where is it? That's not it. I got a bunch of Supreme Court cases. District of Columbia versus Heller. So District of Columbia versus Heller was in 2008, and what it was a Supreme Court case that decided. I'm gonna quickly give you moderator Mitch. District of Columbia versus Heller was a Supreme Court case that established as a Supreme Court precedent that the Second Amendment of the Bill of Rights should be interpreted specifically that all American citizens have an individual right to the purchase of firearms. So they have, or not the purchase, but the possession. So all Americans have an individual right to possess a firearm. So unfortunately, with a lot of conservatives, they don't seem to actually understand the significance of that case. What I hear from a lot of conservatives, and especially from firearm enthusiasts, is that case didn't really matter because the Second Amendment, despite what it literally says, specifically guarantees an individual right, despite it not saying that. If you look at the Constitution, or the Second Amendment specifically, which is in the Bill of Rights, it is clear in terms of the interpretation of the court that it does actually mean an individual right, because I don't really want to get into showing it, but it establishes that there is to be militias for the defense of the nation. Militias are composed of citizens. Those citizens make up the militia with firearms that they themselves own. So we're not talking about government-issued or state-issued firearms. We're talking about firearms that are already in the possession of citizens through their own purchase. What that does is it guarantees the individual right for the protection of the nation, an individual right for citizens to possess firearms. I have never heard a conservative in my lifetime ever actually say that. And I'm sorry to dump on conservatives that may be listening to this. You guys are kind of ridiculous with this. You just say, read it, and just stupid shit like that, when it's like, yeah, I studied this for years, and I didn't even understand this until I read the court case and understood, oh, this is what the interpretation actually means. This is how it was rendered, and this is why it's now established in this case law precedent as an individual right. It's expressly said. That makes the difference, because according to John Paul Stevens, who is a fucking former Supreme Court justice, the Second Amendment means that there is no individual right to possess firearms, according to him. And this guy is not some fucking retard that they just found in Skid Row in California, okay? This guy sat on the Supreme Court forever. And he's still writing up op-eds for the New York Times calling for the repeal of the Second Amendment. You have to understand that this court case it could have gone the other way. It could have. And it would have been made for some bad times back in 2008. And this is, I don't really want to get into it here because it's a video that I'm going to be working on hopefully soon, and that it's the arrogance that blinds a good portion of the right, where shit just falls in their lap and they go, as it should be. And it's like, bro, you got lucky. This could have gone the other way. What are you talking about? But no, whatever. But so yeah, let's get into this. So John Paul Stevens, right at the worst moment. Well, it really was at the climax of the recent calls. This was right after the march of March for Our Lives in DC. He wrote this op-ed. 10 super chat. 10 USC even defines the militia as able-bodied male between 17 and 45. So even the militia argument by anti-gun activists makes no sense. It's based off the Militia Acts of 1792 and 1903. Like I said, go read the court case to Josiah Magnuson there, bro. If you haven't already, go check out the District of Columbia versus Heller. Go check out that court case and read the dissent. And I'm going to be very specific here. I don't agree with the dissent in that court case. I don't agree with it. It's crazy. But my point is that a lot of conservatives just see this as a duh. And in my opinion, you really have to go out of your way to make this argument. You have to specifically take the Second Amendment and do what I just did. Explain what the intention was. Explain how it makes sense in terms of what's written on the page, and talk about that Supreme Court case and the precedent that it set. You know, you can't just pull out esoteric shit. You can't just take this as a duh. You have to get into it. Because I'm going to tell you that for intelligent people, you're going to win minds. You're going to change minds. You're going to win people over to your side. If you're blockheaded about it, if you just say this is a duh and America, love it or leave it, you fag, you're not going to change anybody's mind. Just checking chat real quick. But yeah, thanks for the comment there, Josiah. Yeah, you don't have to tell me, man, about the precedents that was set. As it relates to the militia, in terms of like what it was meant to be, it wasn't actually supposed to be a standing army. The militias were supposed to be citizens, basically citizen soldiers coming together to defend the nation. That was the intention, as far as I understand, of what the militias were. It wasn't supposed to be a standing army. It was supposed to be, you have already able-bodied armed civilians that join together to defend their homeland. And that appears to be across the board what the intention was. But I think that has to be explained better. So when people talk about, oh, they meant the standing army and the police should be the only people that have firearms, it is, no, that is not what they meant. It's not explicitly stated, but it's clearly understood when you actually understand what was written and what they meant by it at the time. The militia was something separate from the military. It was still for the defense of the nation, but it was able-bodied armed citizens coming together in defense of their nation. That's what it was. It was separate from the standing military. You have to make that clear. Anyways, getting back to this article, this is a stub article. This is a waste of an article. It's very short. There's not much to it, but it's pretty much just John Paul Stevens coming out of the fucking ether to basically say, yeah, I was right when I basically said the right to own, the right to possess a firearm doesn't exist, that it's a privilege, not a right. That's what he expressly said in this case, in the dissenting opinion that he gave in District of Columbia versus Heller. He specifically said that Americans do not have the right to own firearms. They should have the privilege to own a firearm. And what that means is that the Second Amendment, according to him, is basically nullified. It does not exist. You do not have the right to own a firearm. It's basically a privilege the state can give you, such as, for example, driving. You do not have a right to drive. You are privileged. You request the state permit you to drive. That's something very different. And it's dangerous thinking. Like, I understand like the pathological need to try to see gun violence curbed. Again, I don't agree, but I'm just saying, like, I understand like the pathological empathy or whatever, how you ever describe it, compassion coming from this guy. But the issue is that it is specifically an overwhelmingly illiberal position to take, and it does fly in the face of history and of intention that is documented in that Supreme Court case. It is well laid out what the case is for the individual right in the United States to own and to purchase and possess a firearm. And despite that, you come out of the woodwork saying that, like, oh, there should be these restrictions and blah, blah, blah. It was a black or white issue, and you came down on the black side of it saying American citizens do not have a right to own firearms. You said that specifically in your dissenting opinion. There is no equivocation. It's just Americans do not have the right to own a firearm. So this kind of guy coming out and talking about this and being endorsed and this being a huge viral article, that's scary. That's scary. And it should scare a lot of conservatives. It should wake conservatives up. Try to snap them out of their arrogant stupor and just saying like, hey guys, you may want to pay attention here because there's a lot of people that may want to roll back your rights. Another tax cut isn't going to save this. Worrying about the stock market isn't going to do much to protect your right to possess a firearm. May want to fucking pay attention a little bit here, guys. May want to wake up a little bit. It's kind of like this is something that should galvanize and motivate a lot of conservatives to pay the fuck attention. And some definitely are. But I think that what they're relying on is that this is a feat that is seemingly so impossible to manage, which is the repeal of the Second Amendment or nullification of it, that one should not be worried. And to some extent, pragmatically, I can understand that. I can understand with what they mean. It would be such as repealing the First Amendment at this point, if you consider the case law and all the hurdles that would have to be leapt through or leapt over in order to actually nullify it. There's just as much chance as the Second Amendment going away as there is the First Amendment at this point. You would have to have some kind of radical reversal at the Supreme Court or a constitutional amendment, which would likely never happen. So I can understand the pragmatic arguments, but in terms of the societal argument, the cultural argument, I think that conservatives really should take this seriously and should approach the situation with the intention of changing minds. Obviously, you're not going to change the mind of somebody who's a fucking fanatic, an illiberal cocksucker like this guy here, who's old as shit and is going to go to his grave holding this opinion that the Second Amendment should be repealed. You're not changing this guy's mind. But what you do need to do is pretty much what Dana Lash did with a little bit less fucking rhetoric. You need to show up, you need to take your licks, and you just need to stand firm in terms of defending your individual liberty. And make it very clear what you stand in favor of, why that is. Get away from the rhetoric, get away from the talking points, and get away from the truisms. Just lay out explicitly why you stand for what you stand for and what your values are, and get into the case law, get into the precedents that has been set, talk about what was talked about in these cases, especially with District of Columbia versus Heller, and talk about the history of the country. Some are doing this. So I've seen conservatives doing this, and more power to them. But I think that it could be better. It could be better. Because I would like this to be an issue that is a loser for one of the sides of this. I don't like the other side of this, because the other side of this argument is the nannies, the authoritarians, the illiberals, the regressives, the pathological altruists. Like, they are everything I can't stand in terms of the other side of this argument. They're ignorant. They are illiberal, specifically. Like, they just want, they're activists for removing civil liberties. Okay. That should stand out in people's minds. Like, you think of activists, you think of Martin Luther King, you think of the suffragettes or suffragists or whatever the fuck, marching for the right to vote, marching to be treated equally and have equal protection. Like, you understand that, like, activists are supposed to be in favor of protecting rights, not specifically pushing to have them removed. Take away my rights, government, take away my rights. Like, that should fucking stand out to some people. It really should. You should think about that when people think about activists. Is people should be questioning that more. Like, these are activists campaigning to see civil liberties restricted. Should kind of stand out in one's mind. But yeah, all right. I don't know how much more time we need to spend on this. The suffragettes. Yeah, sorry, I can't remember if it's the suffragists or suffragettes. I think it's the suffragettes that were crazy. And the suffragists were racist, anyways. I mean, there's like a famous line from a suffragist who's like, you know, we want the right to vote, but just not for the niggers, like something like that. Like the suffragists were pretty fucking awful, and the suffragettes were actual terrorists. Somebody said, they were terrorists. So I'm not here to defend them. I'm just speaking, but again, still with the suffragettes, at least they're campaigning for the right to vote. They're campaigning for equal rights. They're campaigning for a right, like. And I know that with voting, it's not the same and it's contentious and blah, 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 blah. But, yeah. And the civil rights movement had Malcolm X, and he was basically a racist fascist anyways. Not a horrifically unintelligent person, but a racist and a fascist nonetheless. Okay, I guess we can move on. Let's get to this story. Here's some beautiful stuff. Oh, hey. I don't know if I talked about this before or not, because these articles kind of blur together. But here's an article from good old Nathan Grayson from Kotaku, who talks about Riot Games, Blizzard Entertainment, or Blizzard Activism Entertainment, and Twitch, which is a very large media platform company, are teaming up. And what are they going to fight? Toxic gaming behavior. Oh, well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is very specific. That is a very specific thing to try to combat. I don't really know if I want to go through this article that much, because it's pretty much everything you'd expect it to be. It's just like, what the fuck is this? Whoa. Fuck off the hill with your ads. And of all the people not to be at YouTube on the day of the shooting, I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm going to say about this. Fuck Blizzard, fuck Riot, don't buy their games. Twitch is as bad as YouTube, if not worse. This is why the Western industry is fucking dying. And you're an idiot if you give any money to these companies, because they are companies that create art that are anti-First Amendment. They want to restrict your speech. They want to nanny you. They want to tell you what you're allowed to think and say. They're awful. And I guess we'll just leave it at that. I guess we'll move to this, talk about Trump a little bit. Because you can't have any kind of news stream without talking about Donald Trump. So Donald Trump, this is actually from last month, but it's actually still true, because he just tweeted out talking about his approval numbers going up again. Donald Trump's approval numbers are going up, and they have been consistently for several months, especially this year. They've been going up. So there's not a lot to talk about with that, other than more and more Americans, not necessarily a majority just yet, but closing in on a majority of Americans approve of Donald Trump and his performance as the president of the United States. There's been a lot of people, including Styx Hexenhammer, who's talked about this, saying, you know, I predicted this, I knew this would happen. And it pretty much all depended on what Trump did. And one of the things that may have played in Trump's favor is that he didn't do very much in a short span of time. One of the things that he was labeled as when he won the election was as a lunatic, as a tyrant in the making that would walk into office and become a dictator. And obviously that hasn't happened. He has pretty much gotten a handful of things done, the biggest one being a tax cut that everyone was going to do anyways because they're all corporatists. But outside of that, he hasn't really had many accomplishments, and he's pretty much struggled to get what he wants done. God fucking damn it. Hill! Stop with your fucking ads. So, yeah, but like I said, they played to Trump's advantage because in the long run, more and more people are going to be able to understand that the guy is not a lunatic. He's not a tyrant. He's inarticulate, goofy, but otherwise just another politician. He's different in terms of his politics, different in terms of his beliefs, different in his style and mannerisms and speech and all the rest. But he's just another president. People can say that, oh, we have a reality show star president. Hey, whatever. It's just another president. And there was no reason ever to make the guy seem like he was going to be a fucking lunatic and tyrant just because he's an oddball and whatever else. He's not the standard stock conservative, or I should say more so Republican. He's not really conservative. But he is in many ways like a far less corporatist, slightly more competent, yet more eccentric Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was not really a politician. He was more of a puppet than a politician, and that was his appeal. And he won. He served multiple terms. He's lauded today by a certain brand of conservatives. It seems like as time has gone on, more and more conservatives are saying that they actually don't like Reagan, and I think rightly, because Reagan, I think, was a bad president, an incompetent president with a corrupt administration where he was nothing but a puppet for corporations. But that's why certain conservatives like him. It's for that specific reason. But yeah, I think it's clear that Donald Trump is not the boogeyman that he's been made out to be, and that it's still possible for him to win me over for the next election. If he does some of the things that I'll talk about in another stream related to tariffs and other things, he couldn't possibly win my vote in the next election. And I'm still a registered Democrat, so he will be turning more votes from Democrats to Republicans in that way. We'll get to that. Oh yeah, actually, did I? Yeah, I forgot to mention these earlier when I was talking about that fucking thing. So, YouTube in recent months, all throughout March, February, and even now, they have become ridiculous when it comes to policing their website. They're talking about they've been going after videos for a while now. Then they started labeling state-sponsored videos, which is fine. That's a fine change to have because I'm accepting of the fact that they're labeling. And I would have to check the BBC videos, but I think they've included them as well as being state-sponsored. That's fine. But they're policing the shit out of their videos. Now they're talking about, like, they didn't even announce this with Wikipedia. They just announced it themselves that they're going to somehow have some kind of crazy algorithm where they're going to link Wikipedia articles to try to debunk conspiracy theories on YouTube, and there's no winning here. You're chasing a rabbit down a hole that you're never going to catch, and you're just going to get stuck, and you're going to die there. I have no idea why they're doing this. I can tell you that has a lot to do with this woman right here still fucking being the CEO of the company. I don't really know what has to happen before she fucking goes. Again, this could have been, I wish this person was eating lunch at the time of another person being at YouTube. But Susan Wojcicki has to fucking go. She is terrible. She is incompetent. I've not seen anyone say anyone that's not getting paid by YouTube specifically to do like post, propaganda videos for them. I've not seen one person praise this woman. She needs to fucking go. She's a fucking incompetent, and she's going to destroy the platform. And this is another article, and this is part of the irony. Outside of them going after or promoting immigration and mass migration, they've been going after steadily videos on YouTube that relate to guns in any way. It's not, they've gone after videos basically promoting guns for people to buy, which is not a fucking crime. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, oh yeah, look at this gun. I'm going to review this gun. It's good. You should go buy it. It's like, yeah, we're going to take that off of YouTube. It's like, why? Why? Like, don't you want to use this fucking platform to make money, sell ads? Like, isn't that the fucking purpose of it? Or no? Are we now moral policing fucking everything? So it started there, but then it got even worse. It didn't just start with people promoting guns. Now it's just demonstrating guns, firing guns. It's just guns. If you have a gun channel, your channel's basically fucked. And that includes knife channels, sword channels, just any channels that relate around weapons are now being policed to death by YouTube for no reason, seemingly. You know, it's not even advertisers calling for those channels to be harassed. It's just literally YouTube is taking a page out of the progressive playbook to just be draconian, ridiculous, regressive, and illiberal and censor gun videos and weapon videos just because. And then, ironically, they get shot up. Maybe they were right all along. If they would have just banned the gun videos, then they would have been shot at. That's how you solve gun violence in America. You just ban videos on YouTube. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that because it is news for them doing this. So this is a funny video. This like semi-autistic black guy at some school. This is way back in the middle of March, but I saw this video and I fucking laughed because like Chelsea Clinton and all these other fucking dickheads, Samantha Bee, were like, "Oh, we love you, Justin. We love you, Justin." So why are they loving Justin? Well, let's ask Justin. What's going on?
Hello Twitter. There's gonna be like 6 people watching this, hopefully. But it's National Walkout Day. I'm the only one in my school out here. Didn't really get into much. No one really said anything besides my home teacher.
So I don't really know how loud that is, so I'll stop it there. But basically, there was like I think a couple days in the middle of March where people were walking out to protest violence or shootings or fucking whatever. A lot of them were teacher led, and it was a big clusterfuck in the middle of March. But I found this video infinitely funny because this one kid was the one kid to walk out during the day. He's like, yeah, no one stopped me. Like my teachers were okay with it. No one really said anything. But I was the only guy to walk outside. And I don't know, people reacted to this by like saying he's so brave and blah, blah, blah. I was like, look at this faggot. He's the only one that walked outside. This guy doesn't even have a couple of friends that join him. What a faggot. So yeah, I just thought, because this is the thing, like, if this guy was not somebody that I didn't think had ill intentions, it would be something fine. He's doing some activism, whatever, but it's like if I ask this kid, like, do you think Americans do you consider possession of firearms to be a right or a privilege? This fucking guy's going to say privilege. He's not going to say it's an individual's right, it's inalienable, blah, blah, blah. We need to take it very seriously. He's just going to say it's privilege. You know, we should treat it like you driving a car. It should be a privilege, and the state should grant you the ability to have something. So if this guy wasn't an illiberal activist, I would take him more seriously. But because he is specifically an illiberal activist, fuck him. Get some friends, bro. I had more friends than you in fucking high school. Get some fucking friends, bro. Yeah, sorry. It came through my speakers and they're elsewhere. They're like on the other side of my desk. So Patrick says, "How dare we have lower taxes?" We're gonna get to that, Pat. Don't worry about it. We got an article here talking about the taxes, so don't worry. So let's click off that article. We'll get to that. So we'll get to this. This is kind of like a frivolous article, but I wanted to mention it just because it was funny. And Paul Joseph Watson wrote it. This happened in February, actually. So this is an old article. But I just thought it was funny because somebody pranked a town in Pennsylvania by putting "it's okay to be white" on signs. Where was it? Where was it? It was in Pennsylvania, but where in Pennsylvania? Amos? Emmaus, Pennsylvania. So yeah, apparently some prankster, some shitlord ran around, put "It's okay to be white" to troll residents of this area. And so this is basically what he wanted. I don't know, Edmonton Metro? I don't know where that is. Edmonton, fucking Canada? I don't know. Oh yeah, .ca. It is Canada. So they said string of racist incidents, including posters reading "It's okay to be white," racist flags at the University of Alberta. Okay, so that's another event. Oops. Yeah, so this what this is a troll. Like it's meant to fucking get the press and basically racists to react negatively to this, because it's not saying, you know, white pride worldwide. It's not saying any white supremacist shit, white identitarian shit. The joke is that all it's saying is that it's okay to be white, meaning it's acceptable for somebody to be white. There's nothing wrong with being white. That's specifically with the wording with this. That's the intention. It's made intentionally to be provocative and to draw out the racist animus of anti-white individuals and likely the press. And it never fails to get actually some kind of reaction. Did they declare him racist? Another resident said they were horrified by the signs. At least 100 have been torn down. Jesus, how many fucking how many stickers did he put up? 100 of them were torn down, but they just pop up again the next day. God damn, dude. That's some fucking dedication. They're putting up hundreds of these fucking things. Damn. I mean, it is in essence vandalism. It is. I will concede that. I guess they didn't. I didn't see any. They didn't say it's racist though. Yeah, I don't see them. Let's go to this article real quick. It's okay to be white. Horrified. Complete and utter ignorance. That's how people around Amos are reacting after finding out that for about 3 weeks now, somebody's been putting signs and stickers with the words "It's okay to be white." I mean, we're surrounded by white. Oh my God. We're surrounded by white privilege nowadays. It's just a fact. So it's completely racist to say it's okay to be white, says Joshua Westbrook, who lives in Amos Avenue. Shane Pepe says that without getting into debate with people as to whether or not they believe it's racist act, it's unacceptable, inappropriate, and distasteful at the very least. In addition, it's illegal and vandalism. Well, that's true. It is vandalism. Melody Wiseman, a volunteer in Amos, said, "I would like to talk with them and know about what they mean with that sign. Do they have a specific meaning?" Yeah, just look it up, you fucking idiots. Google it. Just Google "It's okay to be white." You'll find the fucking links that are necessary to explain it. So they get into talking about what the meme is. Let's see here. Within hours of it going up, one user commented they caught the vandal in the act, even posted a picture. Others say they are now on the lookout because they say some things are okay. I mean, it's okay to be any color you are, exclaims Wiseman. Why? What's not? It's okay. It's not okay to be ignorant, not by any means. Okay. So the reason why, other than to troll, the reason why this person is doing this is because as it starts here with Westbrook, who says it's not okay to be white. He says that it's racist to say that it's okay to be white. So it is not acceptable in his position, or according to him, it's not acceptable to be white. So to him, it is unacceptable to be white. He is a racist. Joshua here is a racist. So racism, anti-white racism, does exist. It is in this country. It is in the press. It is in politics. It is saturated, especially in progressive politics, with intersectionality. It is saturated in anti-white racism. That is the purpose of this meme, this troll, is to expose it, because it's an otherwise innocuous statement that brings out the inner racist of these progressives. So they can't help but be racist, just like Josh here. White privilege, and it's racist to say this because it's not okay to be white. Being white is an offense to him because he is a racist. So that's the reason. And like I said, it never fails. I'm surprised they didn't include it in this article, that they called it racist multiple times by interviewing these people. It's not a racist statement. The person that says that this is unacceptable, they're either fucking retarded or they are themselves a racist. That's the purpose. So we'll move to this. So this is another win. This is all the way back in February, but it's important to talk about this because I think there's another ruling in March that coincided with this in favor of Trump. So Supreme Court has ruled that the government has the right to do what they will with illegals. And that is because illegals, foreign nationals, do not enjoy the same rights as citizens in the United States. If you are a foreign national, you are not equal to me in terms of civil liberties and rights in the United States because you are not an American. Now, that doesn't mean that we should be abusing tourists. We should be abusing people here on work visas. We should be abusing people that are here on student visas and so on. But what it does mean is that if you are here illegally, you do not have rights. You are a criminal. You are, what's it called? There's a word for it, but it's basically you are running away from the law. The law is pursuing you and to have you deported for being here illegally, and you are escaping it, whatever the word is, the proper phrase that I'm looking for. And the fact is that the United States government has the right to do what they will with you because you are a criminal. If you don't want to be a criminal, just be here as a tourist. Just be here on a work visa. That's not hard to fucking get. It's not fucking hard to get a work visa in this country. And if that's not good enough for you, then be here as a student. Go to college. And be here on a student visa, which is also easy to fucking get. If you don't want to do those three things, apply for be here, or four things. Apply for actual citizenship, apply for a work visa, apply for a student visa, or be here as a tourist. If you're not interested in those four things, get the fuck out. You have no right to be here. And it's unsurprising to me that the Supreme Court keeps ruling in this direction, and this only empowers Trump further to do what he wants. Because the fact is, and I don't really want to get too much into it because it's going to be a video I'm going to have coming up where I talk about this. There's a specific Supreme Court case that I'm going to be talking about that unfortunately permits illegals to have access to public welfare programs, including our student or the public school system. That needs to be overturned, and if not overturned, it needs to be nullified with an amendment to the Constitution, because the fact is that the United States government is a representative republic of U.S. citizens. That is our government. It is a representative government of United States citizens, and that includes everyone of every different background and skin pigmentation and all the rest. Everyone's equal under our system of laws. But the only thing that isn't equal is nationality in terms of your citizenship. If you are a foreign national, you do not have a right to be here. You do not have rights in this country. You are not a U.S. citizen. So I'll explain a little bit more about that in that video when it comes up. But this is an increasingly annoying issue. And it's amazing to me to see the disingenuous nature of this and the fact that Trump is going to go to the courts and he is going to win every fucking time. The only exception is going to be if there's another case that comes up with that involves the public school system. That's going to be a fucking hard issue because of the 14th Amendment. Is it the 14th Amendment? Equal protection clause. Let me equal protection clause. This I believe it is. Yeah, it is the 14th Amendment. So the 14th Amendment, the Supreme Court interpreted the 14th Amendment and the Equal Protection Clause within it to include non-citizens. That was it was a 5-4 decision. I forget exactly when it was. It was a very old court, but it was a fucking insane decision, and it set a terrible fucking precedent. And my hope is that sometime in the future, that precedent will be fucking nullified. And if it can't be nullified through the Supreme Court, there should be an amendment to the Constitution that nullifies it through that way. It is a dangerous precedent to set and is being taken advantage of now. The 14th Amendment is being taken advantage of. Non-citizens, foreign nationals are not equal to U.S. citizens. If that's not true, we don't have a representative government. It's a black and white issue. Either the government is representative of the citizens or it isn't. It is a black or white issue. If citizenship doesn't matter, we don't have a representative government. It's a black or white issue. That Supreme Court case, I'm sorry, I forget what it is exactly. I have it saved on another computer. That Supreme Court precedent needs to be nullified. The 14th Amendment was in regards to freed slaves after the fucking Civil War. It had nothing to do with foreign nationals. It had to do with slaves becoming citizens. Clicked on the wrong fucking article by mistake. I guess we'll hop on this really quickly. So I haven't talked about this, but I have to talk about this. What the fuck? I got all these ads popping up now. How do I close this ad? Look at this fucking ad. How do I close this? There we go. Fuck off. It's too big. Fucking Daily Mail shit. Fuck your website. Anyways, so there was another Rotherham in the UK. This is earlier March, mid-March, somewhere around there, where they had another scandal where a bunch of, and by a bunch I mean about 1,000 young girls that were all underage, young as 11, were groomed, and by groomed I mean drugged, manipulated, and raped by Muslims in the UK. And this is a UK problem. This is a British problem in the modern era, and that is the victimization of white women, mostly white women, by Muslims. And the police and the UK government enable it. They enabled the rape of their own citizens by Muslims because they are deathly afraid of being called racist. And I've already said this to Sargon, and it's like, it's one of the things I don't understand. Like, if we were in a situation, I want everyone to put themselves in this situation. I want you to imagine that you're a father, okay? You're a father, and your daughter is being groomed, or let's say there was a successful rape. Not multiple rapes and gang rapes, which is what these cases are. Gang rapes by like dozens of men is disgusting. But let's say that a group of Muslim men raped your daughter. Okay. If the police didn't do anything, at least I can say for myself, every one of those guys would be fucking dead. I would kill them all. You know, I don't understand what kind of society the UK is where thousands of rapes, hundreds and hundreds of girls can be raped over decades, and not a single father did anything about it. And not a single father murdered a bunch of Muslims. Like, you never heard that on the UK news. White dad goes out and murders a bunch of fucking Muslims because they gang raped his daughter. I haven't heard one story like that. You know, the one thing I've seen is that one guy that rented a truck and drove it into a bunch of people at a mosque. That's the one example I got for like a revenge killing. But I don't understand why there aren't hundreds and hundreds of stories of fathers murdering Muslims that rape their daughters. I don't have any idea what the fuck is going on in the UK, but I can say, at least for myself, that if I was in a situation where the police would not, my daughter was fucking gang raped and the police refused to do anything, I would try to find out as much as I could, and I'm sure that there would be victims in this. I would kill innocent people, but I would want to find out who these perpetrators were, and I would fucking murder every single one of them. And I say that with no caveat, no qualifier, no nothing. If my daughter was gang raped by these men and the police refused to intervene, I would fucking take justice in my own hands and murder them myself. If you are listening to this and you are a male that would not do that same thing, if those were the circumstances, the police don't intervene and your daughter was gang raped and you weren't willing to murder those men, you are not a man. You're not a father. You're not a man. You are a coward. You are a pussy. You deserve to get fucked in the ass by these Muslims because you're a pussy. You're a cuckold. You are disgusting. You are unworthy of the label of being a man. I would suggest you transition because you are not a man. So my hope is that there's some people in the comment section agreeing with me, because I can't imagine for a second anyone I can't imagine any man being unwilling to do the same. I can't imagine any father being unwilling to do the exact same thing as I just laid out. And the consequence of this, and like I said, it's because the police wouldn't intervene. This is the whole thing. Like if my daughter gets raped, hypothetical daughter gets raped, and the police intervene and justice is served, then fine. Then you don't have the father take revenge, because then we live in a society of laws and justice and a court system. So there's no need to have vigilante justice. But the fact that we have women in the thousands, hundreds and hundreds of women over decades, and I'm sorry, not women, I'm sorry, girls, okay, not women, girls, underage girls being raped, systematically gang raped by Muslim men. The fact that there isn't vigilante justice, scores of vigilante justice cases all throughout the UK, the fact that isn't happening, I'm sorry, it says a lot about the UK. It says a lot about the UK, the fact that there aren't hundreds of fathers on the streets, armed, murdering Muslim men in revenge for their daughters being raped and the police standing by and enabling it. What is going on in the UK right now? That's the question that I have for people. What the fuck is going on? Dell, I see your super chat. Is that 1,000,000% with you, Lewis? How much of a loser do you have to be to let that happen? I would move my family to another country, then do just that. I mean, that's what I said to Sargon. I said to Sargon, if shit like this starts happening in Swindon, he should get the fuck out of the UK. And I see now, every so recently, he starts humoring the idea of moving to the United States more and more. And I think it's for a reason. I think he should. I think Sargon, I think Count Dankula, Marcus, I think that everyone who's in the UK, and I understand why they want to stay and fight for their own nation, but I'm sorry. It's like, if you don't want your daughter getting raped, if you want to go to jail for saying a joke, you got to come to the United States. Because I'm going to tell you this: let's say you live in my county, and your daughter gets raped, and the sheriff's department, the local police department, the state police, the FBI, all of our government agencies fail you. You and me, man, let's lock and load. Let's lock and load and head on down to the community center, so to say. We'll take care of it. I would hope that in the United States, if the government failed, that we would intervene, that we would do something, that we would take justice in the name of the women being raped, or sorry, the girls. I got to stop myself. It's not women that are being raped. It is girls that are being raped. Underage girls, prepubescent girls being raped. Because they're treated as, it says right in there, and it says as much why. It's because they're seen as trash. They're not even seen as human. The Muslim girls, they're the decent girls, but the white girls, they're just trash. And so we can rape them as much as we want to. It's horrific. and something that doesn't belong, not even just in the current century, in the current millennium. Okay? This is some Bronze Age fucking disgusting shit. And it doesn't belong in the Western world. And it says, I'm sorry, but it says a lot about the the UK that they're tolerating this. They're openly, brazenly just tolerating this for decades. It's disgusting. All right. I guess we'll move on. Meanwhile, Theresa May is whinging about the wage gap. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. The UK is fucked up right now. They really are. Their priorities are so fucked up. So do we have any more things? Okay, so let's so somebody brought up taxation earlier. Let me find that person's super chat real quick. Let me find that super chat. Sorry, I missed a couple by Jake here. Jake Tugston or Tugseth says, "Goodbye, Demolition Ranch." I'm not sure what you mean by that. It says, "Being white and defendant of a veteran of the Revolutionary War is okay." Sure. Imperator Zios says, "Lewis, your focus on citizenship is essentially implicit white nationalism." I don't think it is. I really don't think it is, considering. Just wait for the video. It's just because you're in favor of citizenship, it's not in any way white nationalist. This country has never been a white nationalist nation, even considering the founders, because I don't really want to give it away as much of a spoiler, but even George Washington back in the day, it was like 1788, something like that, that he was openly like discussing the moral concerns he had for slavery. I think that, I don't think it's fair to ever say that the United States was in any way ever white nationalist. You can say that certain states had white favoritism and that slavery was obviously there, but it was an issue that was such a divisive issue that it led to the bloodiest civil war in history, and was rectified. So I think it is incredibly unfair to say the United States is a white nationalist nation or ever was. I don't think that that's an accurate depiction of history. So Patrick says, talked about taxes. Oh, how dare we have lower taxes, says Patrick. So let's move to this article. And this article from the mid of March is dedicated to all you fiscal conservatives in the chat. In that right now we're running a real big budget deficit. And it's a record deficit going all the way back to 2012, which isn't that long ago, but you have to remember that this was, I believe, still when we were in, was it still when we were in a recession? I think we were getting out of the recession when we hit this record deficit. But one of the disadvantages of dumping a shitload of money into the Defense Department and then having a massive tax cut is you run a huge deficit in terms of the budget. And this is something that you routinely see with a Republican administration, in that they explode the fucking debt and deficit and just kind of ignore it for 4 to 8 years, depending on how long they're in office. They'll sort of like hand-wring about it, like, oh man, we got a deficit, but they don't do anything. And I challenge them to do something. I really do. They'll slim, and trim Medicare, and they'll do some stuff like that. Maybe they'll re-look at welfare again, but I think that at this point, the pragmatism is going to weigh out the demand from conservatives like Ben Shapiro and others, who in effect want to privatize Social Security. it would be political suicide, and I think they know that. I think they realize that by fucking everyone who's paid into Social Security and fucking everyone who's on Social Security, that it would basically doom their party. They don't, and the thing is that they don't really have a strategy for what to do with it. It would just be, well, just eliminate the program. And it's like, okay, well, we're talking about trillions of dollars in multiple generations, all invested in one program. There's no simple way to just fucking eliminate it. And that's one of the big things. That's one of the big things they want to eliminate is Social Security. And by eliminate him, it pretty much just means privatize and try to game. Because like I said, I don't believe that they want to eliminate the tax. I just think they want to make it basically a 401k instead of like a public trust or pool. The other thing would be Medicare and Medicaid. And I also, with Medicare, it's different. But with Medicaid, I also think they don't have the balls to do it. It would stir up enough votes that I don't think they would do it. I think that after the midterms, it increases the chances of them potentially bringing it up as an issue. But this is something they're never going to discuss until after the midterms. Is the deficit that has been created by tax cuts and defense spending. So I'd like to hear what they have to offer. That isn't a direct quote from, George W. Bush, George H.W. Bush, Reagan. Like get like going back to Nixon. Can we get something that isn't a direct quote from the last 50, 60 years of Republican policy? Can we get one fucking policy? I'll tell you what. One thing that's not is what's his name? Wilbur Ross. Is he the commerce? He's not the commerce secretary. Wilbur Ross. Oh, he is the commerce secretary. Wilbur Ross is a guy that doesn't sound like your traditional Republican because he's out there promoting tariffs and nationalist economic policy. So he's a change. He seems pretty radical in terms of a policy wonk. I don't know, like he seems like kind of a fucking retard though, being from Yale University, Harvard University, Xavier High School. I'm sure he's a fucking know nothing. Unlike all the fucking corporatists and corporate shills on fucking talk radio and fucking YouTube and on their own like podcasts and all the rest. Those geniuses that helped empower China. Chinese God, what would be the Chinese lobbyist, also known as fucking Ben Shapiro and others like him. But yeah, getting off track here. But I don't expect much from this, and it would be nice to hear some. And this is the thing. Like with Wilbur Ross, I'm praising him. It's different to hear a Republican Commerce Secretary come out and talk about nationalist economic policy and trying to roll back policy that has harmed the United States and have empowered hostile foreign powers in multitude of ways. It's good to hear somebody with some good ideas and some fresh ideas that are winning over bipartisan support. I think that's a good thing, and I encourage more of that to occur. Lost Wing says, Louis Nazim's not a Muslim. Are you sure? Also, she posted on many websites about how she's being targeted by YouTube. Yeah, she's a paranoid, deluded person. I think she was a Muslim, though. I'm not. I see people keep saying she's not a Muslim. I saw her in a video with a hijab. There were reports of her being in a hijab during the attack. She was supposedly a Shia Iranian Muslim. So I'd like to hear some fucking actual examples of her not being a Muslim. Some credible examples of her saying, I am specifically not a practicing Muslim. That would help. Let's see here. I'm going to distract it a little bit. Would you be in favor of Trump's Raise Immigration Act or a more, I think you mean difficult immigration standard than Raise Act? I would say that I'd be more in favor of limiting immigration and cutting down on it pretty severely until we get a lot less fucking issues when it comes to integration. We have some serious issues in integration at the moment. And it's mainly from Hispanics. Hispanics apparently are not integrating very well in the United States, unlike a lot of different other immigrants. There's many different immigrants that are integrating in the United States very well right now. Hispanics are not one of them. Because, dude, I can't begin to tell you how many fucking immigrants I've interacted with that are fucking African, that are Asian, Indian, and I mean specifically the subcontinent, and Asian from East Asia. Every fucking one of them speak English. And I can tell you that every single fucking immigrant that I have run into that does not speak English speaks Spanish instead because they are fucking Hispanic. I've investigated people that are being investigated for fraud. And when they show up at their hearings, they require an interpreter because they don't speak the fucking language. Like, that's where we are currently with Hispanic immigration, where you can come to the United States and defraud insurers and not even speak the fucking language. I don't even understand how you manage to defraud an insurer without speaking fucking English, but it's possible in the United States currently, and it shouldn't be. Whoa, shit.
So we know how to cover almost anything, even closed claws.
Please stop the hill. I'm going to close this article before it does the same thing. Maybe someday I will draft the policy changes, because I do have some serious policy changes that I would do in terms of our immigration policies. It's a good question, so I appreciate their Columbia. But there's a whole list of things that I would do. The first would be I would immediately enshrine in documentation that is federally recognized, not necessarily a rule, but a federally recognized standard, that the official language of the United States is English, and that we shouldn't be accommodating Hispanics that don't speak the language. If you come to the United States and you don't want to learn the language, the door's always there. You can leave. You can get out. We have a serious integration problem in the United States right now. It's not just Hispanics, and I don't want to just label them as the one and only problem. They aren't. But the issue is that there are Hispanics coming to the United States that don't speak the language and don't want to speak the language. They don't feel as though that they believe that they are entitled to speak their own language and not speak the language of the United States because they have no respect for this country or our culture or our values. So I think number one should be English is the official language of the United States, and that is the only thing that's recognized. No other language is recognized. Only English is. That's step one for where I would start. Somewhere on that list would effectively be a Muslim ban. And I don't care, Shia, Sunni, I don't care. I don't care which sect it is. I don't care. It would be effectively a Muslim ban. It would be as close to zero as possible. And supposedly Trump is doing something like that currently, obviously not zero, but is lowering the accepted immigration for Muslims. I would make Donald Trump look like Gary Brown on Muslims. Gary Brown being the lunatic governor of California. I would make Donald Trump look like Gary Brown as it relates to Muslim integration or Muslim immigration to the United States. So there's that and a whole list of other things, but we can move on. Oh, we got some super chats that I'm missing. Joshua or Josiah, sorry. It's Josiah, right? Lewis, do you think the problem is mostly low tax or deficit spending? What do you think of Rand Paul deconstructing the spending bill? Yeah, I think that Rand Paul needs to be given a lot of credit and needs to stand up a lot more. And this is how, let's say 2020 Trump wins, so it'd be 2024, which would be the next presidential election that wouldn't be Trump, because Trump has said that he's going to run again. So a new presidential primary. Rand Paul needs to take the time right now and stand up and actually stand for something that breaks from the Republican Party, because Donald Trump has shown that the establishment of the Republican Party is incredibly weak, and that if you have true principles, you can win based off of them, even though Donald Trump doesn't really have many. But you can break away from the Republican base, or Republican establishment rather, and stand in favor of what you actually believe. And Rand Paul has to do more of that. Too much of what I'm not really a fan of Rand Paul altogether, just because I disagree with him on many different issues, but he doesn't seem to have much of a spine when it counts. He needs to stand up more for what he claims to believe, and he needs to do more like what he did with this. He protested against the defense spending. I don't believe he voted for that, and he also protested it, I believe. He protested entirely the spending package that was done, and rightly called it out, and even had Trump parroting him. Trump was quoting Rand Paul talking about the bill, even though he fucking signed it, which was stupid. But Rand Paul needs to take the time right now to stand out in conservative/Republican politics. He needs to do that now if he wants to have any kind of future in politics. And it's because he's right. He can be right. All he has to do is say, like, where the fuck are we going to get the money to blow on X, Y, and Z? And I've seen him call out the Republican Party for just wanting to issue the Defense Department a blank check, even though there's waste and everything else. And he's right. He's absolutely right about that. And he needs to hold more Republicans to account for that. And he can do it. He can win based off that. Trump fucking lambasted the entire Republican Party, and now he's the fucking president. If Trump can do it, so can Rand. He needs to find a fucking spine. So thanks for that super chat there, Magnuson. LM says, how much racial voting demos influence your thoughts? I know you love Asians, but they vote Dem, which is ultimately the enemy at this point. Have you ever looked at the racial demos for values? Yeah, dude, you have no idea. You must be new to my channel, bro. I've said this many times. I wrote essays talking, and I have had essays published talking about racial demographics and voting demographics. I'm well aware of that. The way that you win, because you could say the same thing towards Hispanics, and the numbers are not headed in the direction that you think they are. Asians are pretty steady as far as I recall. Black men are a demographic that, if let's say, for example, I was a conservative or Republican strategist, I would be sitting in an office with people saying that we need to pursue as hard as possible a strategy to win black male voters. We're not going to win black female voters. We can win black male voters. We need to appeal to them as much as possible, at least to some extent. We need to have a plank in our party platform and have strategists and talking heads pursuing that plank, promoting something that appeals to black male voters. Poll them, find out what black male voters want, find out what they believe, find out what is significant to them, and that is going to become a plank on our party, and we're going to appeal to them. You can win black votes. It's going to be usually black male votes. You can win them Republicans. You're stupid if you don't pursue it. The same goes for Latinos. Latinos are in many ways conservative, typically religious, typically pro-life, typically etc. Okay? They're not hard to win over. You just got to know what the fuck you're doing. And all you need to do is have, and they do have a plank for Hispanics. Specifically, the Republicans do have a plank for Hispanics, but they also need to double down on that as well and pursue it if they want to win. Because I know that people just want to say, oh, all the slants and all the Negroes and all the, the wetbacks, they all vote Democrat. Yeah, in majority now. But what you don't do is what the Democrats are currently doing to whites. You don't just say, fuck you, because that's how you lose votes and hand votes to the opposition. So I understand where you're coming from, LM, but trust me, from a strategic standpoint, you always try to win votes. You never do the fuck you, fuck your demographic, fuck this class, you're all deplorable shit like Hillary Clinton did. That's how you lose. The way you win is you try to incorporate the best that you can everyone possible. It's not achievable, but it's something you pursue for the sake of trying to be big tent, trying to appeal to the most amount of people that you can, and trying to win key demographics to win in particular districts. You need to win in order to hold Congress in the places that matter. That's politics. It's not even just, being open and inclusive and yada yada, and actually being genuine, pursuing people's interests and being representative, which the government should be. That's fucking politics. You try to win everybody. You don't leave any stone unturned. You try to win everyone that you can, because sometimes, depending on where you win, can make the difference, such as Donald Trump winning Wisconsin and etc., the North, the Beltway states, or not the Beltway, but the Rust Belt states that he won. That was key to him fucking winning the election. Doesn't matter how many fucking people are voting for Hillary Clinton in California. If you win the right districts, you win the right states, you win the elections. That's politics. So believe me, LM, it fucking matters a lot. And with Asians, the reason why Asians vote Democrat is because they are, if you look at statistics, Asians are disproportionately bourgeois in the United States. So they have pathological altruism. What you need to do is cut through that. You need to try to cut through the pathological altruism of many Asian families and try to appeal to their middle class sensibilities, while also basically trying to expose the other side for trying to take advantage of their pathological need to seem compassionate and virtuous. LM says in response that Trump won the Rust Belt because of white votes. That's the key. Yeah, but it's not the only demographic you need to win, bro. That's not how the voting process works. You can't just rely on whites. You got to win more than just whites. Donald Trump did better with Latinos and blacks than Romney did. And that matters. That makes up a difference. It's not by fucking double digits, I think, but it still matters. Every vote counts. So, yeah, the white vote counts, but you can't rely on the Democratic Party always being unable to win white votes. It's a simplistic and short-sighted concept that's the fucking silver bullet to win elections is simply white voters. That's not true. Half of white women voted for fucking Hillary. Half. So where do you stand on that there, brother? It's only white males that overwhelmingly voted for fucking Trump. And it's more so specifically working class. So you don't understand the demographics if that's the point you're trying to make there, bro. But anyways, getting to this article. Oh, man, we're already 2 hours in. Or no, hour and 30 minutes in. So right now in California, things aren't going well for the Democratic Party, despite what you might hear. They did well in the last presidential election, but that doesn't always last because that's a presidential election. So right now in California, there's a series of things going wrong that are really should be giving the Republicans a lead in the state. I think the Republicans in California are a lot like the Republicans in New York in that they're mostly just like House Republicans, or what would be I don't really want to say House niggers, or what would be the I don't know, vulgar way of referring to it, but they're basically whipped, so to say. They do what they're told. And but the thing is that with the Democratic Party in California, that they're so fucked up at the moment. It's like it's internal turmoil. It's the progressive insurgency. It's the inability to find competent people to run. It's the baggage of the election. They're just so much. And it's the fact that they're broke as a party. The Democratic Party's fundraising has fallen off the face of the fucking earth since the electoral loss, and because it was a major electoral loss. It was a shocking loss that they sustained in 2016, and they have not recovered from that. It doesn't mean that the Republicans can just walk into the next election and win. But what it does mean is that they thought it was going to be a blue wave election and that this was going to make the difference with Trump winning, but that's not true. They haven't rebounded from it, and they're still bound with internal struggle because of progressives. And we can get to a good example of that is the Democrats in California didn't endorse Dianne Feinstein, who was a major power in the Democratic Party itself. Dianne Feinstein has been around for a very long time, and she's a power figure in the party. And the California Democrats did not endorse her. She's actually the senior senator of fucking California. That's crazy. I mean, this would be like the New York State Democrats not endorsing Chuck Schumer. Like, that's how fucking crazy it would be. And this happened. And the main reason why this is happening is internal turmoil within the Democratic Party in fucking California. It's because of the progressives that have infiltrated the party and are making it fucking chaotic. That's why this is happening. I mean, Dianne Feinstein is a terrible senator, and she's a corporatist and yada yada. I know everyone's like, oh, she's a big lefty. She's a corporatist. Whatever suits corporations, that's what she supports. You know, whatever about abortion and gay marriage, that's all secondary. But yeah, this is a big deal. It's really chaotic. LM says again, you're pointing to marginal gains that don't matter. You're working at a premise that is becoming obsolete. It's all going to shit. These persons of color will vote D. LM, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about, LM. Just because a majority of people, like, you don't understand that just because a majority of a certain minority is voting one way, that just means you write it off. Like, that is a politically illiterate thing to think. I mean, that might work for the alt-right, where you just say we're going to appeal only to a certain breed of whites that is like 1% of the fucking population, but that's not how you win elections. That's not how you do well in politics. That's not how you matter as a party. All right? That's a really stupid way of looking at it. And yeah, if the Republican Party followed that strategy, it would doom their party. It really would. That would be a terrible policy to follow. So anyways, getting back to this, so yeah, politics in California right now, as it relates to the Democratic Party, are in fucking total chaos. And every article that I see coming out of California indicates that. And is this in California? Oh no, this is in New York State, I forgot. So Dylan Ratigan used to be a host on MSNBC, and he was, I think, one of the original people that it basically inspired me to get back into politics when I was younger, because of his rants after the banking crisis, because he was disgusted. He's a lot more literate in terms of economics than I am. And one of the things that he was frustrated by was the bailouts, was the recession as a result of the banking and mortgage crises. And he talked a lot about it on MSNBC for quite a while, and had a few famous rants talking about it, and being very honest and speaking truth to power, even while on mainstream television. The problem with Dylan Ratigan is that he is, by all appearances, a bourgeois progressive. The only really difference that he has with progressives is that he is more middle class and thus pursues those kind of interests. Or not really middle class, but upper like middle class, if not wealthy. It's clouded some of the ways that he views things. And so as it relates to like investment and business, Dylan Ratigan is not like he's not like a socialist or whatever you would say. Like he is a capitalist. He is in favor of investment and all the rest of that. And so he would have certain biases leaning in that direction, which contrasts with the more socialistic attitudes of progressives. But he is not a economically illiterate fucking retard. He is somebody that would be a definite challenge to somebody that would run against him. And he's running, where is he? 21st Congressional District. And he will be running as a Democrat in this county. Let me find that. 21st District. Let's see. This is. Oh, wow. Wow. Talk about fucking being up north. You don't get any fucking more up north than this shit. Wow. This is the fucking district. Holy shit. That is huge. Oh my God. That's a huge district. Man, he's got one fucking hell of an uphill battle because this is deep red territory, baby. This is very fucking Republican heavy district. Good luck, Dylan. Holy shit. Oh, I guess not. I would expect it to be fucking deep red, but apparently it's gone for Obama and well, pretty narrowly in favor of Obama twice, and narrowly in favor of Trump in 2016. Wow, it's been pretty blue, just but narrowly so. I would expect it to be pretty fucking deep red. But apparently not. Apparently that's my ignorance of that district. So yeah, I guess he does have a decent shot then. I guess I'm incorrect. He would have a decent shot at winning. He just has to strategize the right way. He has to, if he starts coming out and saying Trump is Hitler and shit, he's gonna get fucking blown out. But if he focuses on an economic message, rural message, the message that would appeal to that part of the state, then he'd probably win. Speaking truth to power, that would help him. But he's got to know that, you know, he's been rich for quite a while, and he's probably not in very good touch with rural Americans in upstate New York, real deep upstate New York. And I'll tell you what, I've been up. That's where oh God, what's the name of that lake up there? Is it Placid Lake? Is that the name of the lake up there? I can't quite remember. I've gone camping up there at Tupper Lake, and that's way up there. And holy shit, is it fucking rural, man. There's not a lot going on up there. So that's some real rural vote you got to appeal to up there. So good luck to him. He might have to fucking move there. Because is he even from there? I don't even know. I know he doesn't vote. He said that like he registered to vote for the first time in his life. Like he's never voted. He's definitely got an uphill battle. And apparently a Republican spokesman said that he's a liberal talking head with no voting record, and he's running for Congress in a desperate grasp of relevance. Possibly. And it is true that he's a very aggressive person in criticizing the Obama administration, how they dealt with healthcare and how they dealt with the banking crisis. That's very true. Oh shit, he actually is in Lake. Dude, he's actually from Lake Placid, or at least lives there. Holy shit. I've been up there before. He's been there since 2012. I didn't know that. I actually have it. I own this book too. You did a book in 2012, apparently. Greedy Bastards. I own that book. So yeah, by all appearances, he has an uphill race there, but it's interesting to see. Because I think, you know, he's not like a standard regressive, standard fucking, you know, this isn't Brianna Wu running. You know, this would be somebody to take seriously. I hope he wins, because I don't know who the fuck Elise Stanfrick is. I've never fucking heard of her before, so she likely isn't doing shit in terms of politics. So good luck to Dylan Radigan. I hope he wins, because at least it'll be different. Be a different kind of Democrat. Jimmy Sanchez says, look up State of Jefferson Movement. I'm not really sure what that is. LM says blacks 89%, Dem Hispanic 66%. Dem Jews, 71%, Dem whites, 57%. But yeah, the marginal votes are where ground is most important. Again, I guess if you like, I don't know how to explain this to you for you to understand, because you seem like somebody that doesn't care if these people are voting for you just because they are minority groups. That appears to be the issue you're having. But the issue is that let's say that you have 100% of the white vote, okay? And you're losing elections. Now what do you do there, LM? Well, then you have to pursue other votes, don't you? And the fact is that I'm a white male. I have never voted for a Republican. You could try to convince me, or you could try to convince somebody that is not me, that is more conservative than I am. Just food for fucking thought. May not want to write off entire fucking demographics of people just because they're not fucking white and they lean a certain political way. That can fucking change. You just have to try to do it. I'm running out of fucking energy. So I'm not too sure how much we can continue with this. I guess we'll talk about this because we're talking about elections. So we'll talk about this special election that happened. It was in the middle of March, and it was I forgot who the other fucking guy was. It was Colin Lamb, who was the Democrat. Who was the fucking Republican? Who was the fucking Republican? I don't remember. I don't even see it here. Maybe I skipped past it. But Colin Lamb was an interesting special election to watch because he basically ran as a conservative Democrat, although that differs depending on who you're talking about. It was an interesting election to watch. It's not very interesting for those of you that are not like super political fucking obsessive wonks. You probably will have a hard time caring. But it the Beltway media treated it like, oh, this is because the thing is with the Beltway media, they hate Trump so much they want the Democrats to win. That appears to be what's going on. They don't really care who the Democrat is, what they believe, what they stand for, just as long as they're not Trump and they don't like Trump or whatever, like they want them to win. Because you can see that anytime, like, for example, when what's his face Hogg did his little stunt going after the advertisers on Laura Ingram's show, one of the things that you saw was endless articles updating which advertisers had pulled from Laura Ingram's show, like for days. It was just endless articles. And it was from The Hill, Politico, just every Beltway outlet that you could name. They were just spamming articles on Twitter for days talking about it. And the only reason you do that is because you support it. The only reason you do that is because you support it. Because it was a very small story, and it was the story for multiple days. Literally dozens of articles tweeted out, but from even individual outlets. Like, I tweeted an image of like 3 or 4 in a row, like minutes past one another. It was fucking ridiculous. LM says, did blacks swing Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania? Not every election's a presidential election there, bro. There's this thing called Congress, and there's these things called districts, and there's these things called state assemblies and the state senate. Again, you have an interpretation of politics that is politically illiterate. I don't know what to tell you. Your interpretation of politics is illiterate. So, in response to his Lamb's win in Pennsylvania in the special election, people like this guy who are political commentators, who obviously I've never fucking heard of, he's some LA twat, was tweeting out that Connor Lamb campaigned in favor of universal health care, against Trump's tax cut, expanded background checks, stronger unions, against tax cut or against cuts to Social Security, for a women's right to choose, for medical marijuana. So this tweet has 1,400 responses, and one of the things that's pointed out is that half of the shit on this list here is actually not true. He didn't actually talk about he talked about he is personally pro-life, but left the issue of abortion alone. I didn't see him actually campaigning in favor of medical marijuana. He did talk against cuts to Social Security, did campaign in favor of stronger unions, didn't actually talk about expanded background checks, mentioned Trump's tax cut, and did not campaign in favor of universal health care. So half of the shit on this list is not actually true, and that's actually pointed out in his comment in response to this. And based on what he actually stood for, he is mainly a conservative Democrat. Like he's even referred to as a blue dog Democrat, which I've talked about many times in the past as being basically non-existent at this point, because they were conservative only in the concept that they were corporatist. They were the blue corporatist Democrats. And that's the only position they served, and that's why they got fucking wiped out, was because they were conservative Democrats that were just corporatists, but otherwise stood for nothing, and got blown the fuck out by Republican candidates. They got just destroyed in 2010 and 2012, just decimated to such an extent that they barely existed as a faction in the Democratic Party afterward. Colin Lamb is an exception to that, in that he could be possibly labeled as an example of a blue dog Democrat, but it's only after multiple elections where they were defeated by even Tea Partiers. So it's hard to out-populist, a populist element of a party. And it's really like I think that in large part, Democrats want to claim this simply as, like, this is basically the justification to say that Brianna Wu is going to win her run to become a congressperson. And that's not true. Okay. Most Democrats only pay lip service to unions. One of the big things that Connor Lamb praised was union labor. Union labor is one of the big elements of what backed Connor Lamb. And the reason is that he's in favor of Trump's tariffs and a whole lot of other things that unions specifically want, especially labor unions, not more over that and teachers unions, more so labor unions. And one of the big things that can be viewed from that is on Alternet, which, as far as I know, is not a right-wing website, talks about the fact that union labor helped Connor Lamb win that district. That, yeah, he received more than all stumped for and received more than Yeah, well, that was the thing that I forget who did he beat. Who did he beat? They don't even say his fucking name. Oh, Rick Saccone, that's the name of the guy. So this was a Republican district, and what this guy did was that he embraced the unions in his area. He ran as a union Democrat, and one of the things that he did was that he endorsed the elements of Trump that he supported and otherwise didn't attack him. And guess what? If you appeal to the people that are in your area, you don't seem like a fucking dickhead, and you're not saying ridiculous shit, you can beat Republicans. In this case, that's what he did. And he's only 33 years old. He doesn't look that young. He looks a lot older than 33. It's unfortunate because I'm fucking 27. That says a lot about me, where I am. But yeah, this is something that labor activists see as a victory for them. And it's because, as far as I can tell, what this guy isn't doing is running around regurgitating platitudes from Bernie Sanders and otherwise just getting engaged in identity politics. As far as I can tell, that's not what he's doing. And it's because that's a losing strategy for the Democratic Party. So, yeah, the Democratic Party, if they were not fucking lost, should take a page out of this guy's book and understand that you can win in red districts. You just have to be better than a Republican candidate running. and you have to campaign in an intelligent manner. Let's see here. I'll leave this one off. I guess I'll talk about this really quick, even though, like I said, I'm running out of energy. Let's see. Okay. Anyways, whoa. So, apparently somebody sent me the story on Twitter and they wanted me to talk about it just because it was fucking weird. And it is weird. So essentially what this story is that there was a migrant in a migrant camp in Italy that is near the border between Italy and France. And this migrant was in this migrant center basically being processed, and I'm not really sure what his status is, but he was a migrant in a camp. So the French police or the French authorities believed this migrant was involved in, I believe, drug trafficking. So what the French police did was, rather than... Okay, hold on. We got an update to that story. I'm going to diverge real quick. What was that? Meritix says, I'm from Lamb's district and specifically the town that he's from. I've never met him, but I voted for Trump in the election, but Lamb this time because Saccone actually broke separation of church and state. I appreciate the super chat. What do you mean by he actually broke separation of church and state? If you can do like a $2 super chat in return so I see it. I appreciate that. Yeah, people are saying Saccone's crazy, apparently. Anyways, so getting, like I said, thank you. What's your name? Meritix, something like that. Follow up with that. I appreciate that, bro. Anyways, getting back to this article. So the French authorities suspected this migrant of being a drug trafficker. And so what the cops did is, rather than actually do what is normal for police work, is you contact the Italian authorities and you either have them do the sample, or you request that they do the sample, or you have that guy extradited to France to face charges, or you have some sort of international task force to, or you go with the French authority, you go with the Italian authorities to a French clinic to have the test done, or whatever. There's a million fucking things they could have done to get they wanted a piss sample from the guy. They wanted a piss sample to do analysis on, to see if there's actual cause to bring charges for this guy being a drug trafficker. So specifically, the French police, rather than do all those things that I just said to basically work this out and work with Italian authorities to get this sample, this guy's piss sample, they basically crossed the border without any information, without any knowledge given to, or warning given to the Italian authorities. The French authorities, just investigators, went into Italy, grabbed this migrant, and then forced him to give a piss test. He basically resisted, and they forced him, however they did it, to do a piss test. They did the piss test, or they took the sample, and then went back to France, all without the knowledge of the Italian authorities. So the Italian authorities obviously reacted very poorly to this, because it's basically like having, let's say, Mexican authorities cross into the United States, grab somebody, I don't know who the equivalent would be, a refugee or something, let's say, grab a refugee and force him to give a piss sample, don't let anybody know, and then run the fuck out of the country. It's kind of extreme and ridiculous when there are a whole lot of channels that one can go through to get the sample. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. But But yeah, I appreciate the person that sent this to me because it's kind of a fucking crazy story. And here's a photo of the officers, the investigators that were in the migrant center in was it Barcelona or Bardone, whatever. Yeah, and so basically now all the French politicians and all that and parties and everyone's all bent out of shape. This happened on April 1st, so it was only a couple of days ago. They got real bent out of shape about this, pretty understandably. And it's just kind of bizarre to see. And apparently the people they're blaming for this is Macron. Apparently I don't know why they're blaming Macron specifically. Maybe this is like some policy or whatever of Macron. But like a whole bunch of people in this are basically saying, fuck Macron, he's responsible. When Macron was just elected. Like I said, I don't know if this is specifically from him. This is some weird shit he's doing, and it's from his direction or directive that it's occurring. But this is obviously something that's not good, and it's a breach of the sovereignty of a nation just for a piss sample for one drug trafficker. It's not like the guy's a fucking wanted drug lord. It's just some fucking migrant that's a trafficker, maybe. So, yeah. Yeah, thanks for the story for the person that sent it to me. It's pretty weird. But yeah, France needs to get it together. I understand they got some crazy shit going on, but that's not Italy's fault. It's Germany's fault. So yeah, before we move on, we only got 2 things left. I'm going to get to that super chat by Meritrix again, who said, Saccone made 2012 the year of the Bible in Pennsylvania. And wanted to make a national day of fast in Pennsylvania. Holy shit. Don't think the second came to fruition, luckily. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Well, what's his face? Santorum is from Pennsylvania too, if I remember right, and he's a fucking lunatic too. So you got some crazy fucking religious nuts in Pennsylvania. And I guess it's a good thing that he lost. I guess he went too far to the religious right. Needed to go more economically populist rather than fucking far right religious nut job. So congratulations. Apparently you appear to be supportive of Lamb, that you voted for him instead of Saccone. And that to me, in my opinion, is the future of the Republican Party. I think that it can be acceptable to be a religious person that stands for office, but you can't be an illiberal, ridiculous, draconian fucking lunatic and win. I really don't think that has much of a future in this country, with the exception of fucking maybe like Utah or something, or specific districts with a lot of lunatics in them. I don't think that angle in the Republican Party has much of a future from my perspective. And I'm glad to see that, because I think that those... you'll see a video coming up on that. I just have to finish it. But I got a video talking about elements of the right that don't have a future but are still around, to much to the chagrin of many conservatives. But you'll see that then. So we'll end on this one. But before we get to that... so this is some fucking person on Twitter. I think they're a cosplayer, which... see my video of high art sluts if you want an opinion of my position on cosplayers. It stands. I have not changed my opinion remotely as it relates to what I've said in that video. But despite that, this person ordered something from JList, which is an affiliate of my channel, and you can find the link in the description. This person ordered some hentai shit from JList, and I kid you not, that it was confiscated by the Canadian government. The Canadian government literally confiscated this person's private property based off of obscenity. So it's funny, because obscenity is actually a conservative argument against the First Amendment. If at least from the American perspective, if you read case law, if you read Clarence Thomas, if you read especially Antonin Scalia, if you read a lot of different conservative scholars and conservative moralists, obscenity is the conservative argument against the First Amendment. It's kind of a spoiler for the upcoming video. But it's amazing that in Justin Trudeau's Canada, you see the confiscation of fucking comic books, of hentai, of manga, basically, based on obscenity. And yeah, this is another reason why Canada is a shit country. Sorry. I know that they're only a few miles from where I live, but it's kind of a shit country. In my opinion, this is why Canadians need to be considering overthrowing the government. Because if you can't have manga, what's the point? You know, this should be their Tea Party moment in Canada, is confiscation of manga. You know, that means overthrow of the government. Jokes aside, this is fucking crazy. I think that more people need to be paying attention to this. This should have really been a bigger story, and maybe I should retweet this or something. I think I already did. But yeah, this is a scary fucking thing to happen. This happened in the middle of March, but this is kind of a crazy thing because I know that this person is kind of like, lol, they took my shit, blah blah blah. But it's like, yeah, bro, they took your shit. Do you realize that you may as well be living in fucking Venezuela? Like, do you understand the significance of this? You kind of don't. You kind of seem like this is kind of no big deal, but it's literally your government confiscating your fucking property. And just being like, yeah, fucking obscenity, bro. Obscenity. Therefore, your property is now ours, and we're going to burn it. Like we're fucking some third world fucking shithole country like China. This is incredibly draconian and crazy and illiberal. Incredibly fucking authoritarian and illiberal. Canadians, you need to look the fuck out. Your government is out of control. I knew my chat would fucking react to this. New Canada. See, I want to press 1 in the chat if you support America liberating Canada from their authoritarian ways, for their racist means of oppressing citizens and depriving them of liberty in terms of owning manga. Press 1 in chat if you believe that America needs to liberate Canada in the same sense that we liberated Iraq. See a lot of support. See a lot of support in this chat. See a lot of liberally minded liberalists in the chat supporting the First Amendment, free speech, and access to manga. Graham says, I live in Edmonton. Oh, bro, I'm sorry. Metro News is a far-left Marxist free daily rag that litters transit stations, and I believe you. And coffee shops throughout Canada. I worked with them during a journalism internship. Jesus, Graham. That's pretty interesting. You should email me if you got anything funny that comes from that. Oh, Chase Face says that he's friends with her. Maybe I should get in contact with her. The thing is, I don't like cosplayers. I mean, that was kind of the point of my video. I don't like cosplayers. And even though a lot of that video is a meme, it's kind of half joking because I genuinely feel that way. I think that in part, cosplayers are a gateway they're basically a gateway drug for SJWs, in my opinion. Because what they do is they turn industries into clubs. They develop a natural clique around them. And they use that typically. I'm not going to say all of them. This person could be an otherwise great person, free speech warrior, et cetera, or just completely apolitical, whatever. But I find them to be basically a gateway drug for SJWs and they enable the infiltration of hobbies and communities of SJWs, in my opinion. That's one of the reasons why I hate them. Annex Canada or the Chinese will. Z-Star, there's more truth to that than you probably realize. Only if we treat them like Puerto Rico and don't give them any electoral college votes. Tim, honestly, at this point, I'd be in favor of granting Puerto Rico, especially after that disaster they had and all the fucking like, excuse me, but you owe us. We're Puerto Rico. You owe us. We don't have any economy and we're basically bankrupt as a state. Give us money. Give us support. You owe us. It's like, oh, we owe you? How about we owe you independence? Now, good luck. How about now? How about good luck? We'll free you. We'll liberate you from the white supremacy of America. You're fucking independent now. I think that's what should have been done with fucking Puerto Rico. That's a campaign plank on my fucking party. Give fucking Puerto Rico independence. I would have at least threatened it because they would. I guarantee you, everyone there would have turned around and be like, "Oh no, we're sorry, we didn't mean it." Is there anything else I missed? Okay, let's look at it. Okay, so I guess we'll move on to the final article. So I don't like the new series of Star Wars. Surprise. I know people can hardly believe it, but I don't like the new trilogy, as it were. And I especially don't like Rey. Like with oh god, what's his name? There's a few characters in the story that I don't mind, but I do like Kylo Ren. I like Kylo Ren's character. I don't mind the actor, even though I think he fucked Lena Dunham. Besides the actor's disgusting fucking, fetish, attraction to a fucking land whale, and likely his politics as well. Besides that, I like Kylo Ren. I like his character. I find it interesting. It's really one of the very only redeeming factors of the new trilogy. And maybe I'm alone in feeling that way. Maybe I'm alone in saying that Kylo is an interesting character, but whatever. What can I say? But Rey is an insufferable, hack-written, awful character that I can't stand. She is a Mary Sue. She is the biggest Mary Sue that I've seen in cinema in quite a while. She's hardly the only one, but she may be the biggest one. She is great at everything immediately. There's nothing. She never has any adversity. She's great at everything at all times. She is an emotionally. She is a character devoid of emotion. She is the quintessential SJW female character, and I cannot fucking stand her. I know that people like to rip on the actress because I think she has like fish lips or whatever. People like to make fun of that, and she can't close her mouth properly or whatever. The fact is that I can't stand her character. Like, I hate her fucking character. She is the anti Luke Skywalker. Like Luke Skywalker as a character that fails and builds and trains and etc. Like has adversity and struggles and has heartbreak and blah blah blah. Overcomes adversity. Uses his own failure and pain to change the heart and to sway his father to turn away from the dark side and towards the light. Luke Skywalker was a great character, and Rey is the anti-Luke Skywalker. She's perfect at everything, never goes through any adversity, is better than Luke Skywalker, better than everyone, better than Han Solo, better than everyone. She can defeat everyone, including Kylo Ren. The second movie The Last Jedi didn't change her. More of the fucking same. So anyways, the reason I bring this up is I'll just read the article. The new trilogy of Star Wars films has delivered audiences an incredible sci-fi hero with Rey. Yeah, sure. Whose journey has only just begun. It's 2 movies in, you fucking cocksucker, and will surely be explored further in episode. Ooh, what is that? Oh, I can't remember the Roman numeral that this is. Hold on. God damn it! What's the number? Chat, let me know. Let me know what that is. I can't remember. 9? Is it 9? Okay. Sorry about that. Anyways, one of the key components of bringing the character to life is understanding that you can't be broken down into strengths and She has no. Tell me where her weaknesses are. Who's the fucking author of this fucking article? Patrick Kavanaugh. I want you to fucking tell me what her weaknesses are, other than the fact that she is devoid of emotion as a human being. Other than her fucking sociopathic personality, please tell me what her weaknesses are as a character. Please tell me. God damn. Anyways, I don't really believe in weaknesses in people. Ridley shared during a Facebook Live event. And this is the person who's playing the character. Did I skip a line? Okay, I did. According to star Daisy Ridley, who's the female who plays the character, the actress or actor, she doesn't even consider Rey to have any weaknesses because she doesn't. Daisy Ridley is correct here. I don't really believe in weaknesses in people, Ridley shared during a Facebook Live event, because I think you can't decide what's good and what's bad in a person. Okay, if you rape a child, you are a bad person. You have evil in you. You have bad in you if you rape a child. What kind of moral relativist shit is this? This is what I mean. Like, why is it that in any given situation where somebody's saying some ridiculous shit, you don't have one fucking person that can just go, hey, Daisy, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? I don't really believe that there's bad in people. What if you murder children? Are you bad then? If you rape children, do you have bad in you? Not everything's gray. Raping children, that's gray. There's no black and white there. There's no evil or bad in someone there. Everything's just fucking relative. Everything's just subjective. Jesus. Fucking Tim is blasting her for not having large tits. I'm sorry, Tim. I have to defend Daisy's tits. I don't mind small tits. Everything makes the whole, and the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, as we know. I for sure think people can work on themselves with things like anger and jealousy, maybe things like that, but it's workable. That's not something that's fixed, that can't be changed. Okay, yeah, sometimes it is fixed there, Daisy. You ever heard of a thing called psychopathy? You ever heard of that? There's no fucking changing that. There's no fucking changing somebody when they have an antisocial personality disorder. Sometimes it's on a spectrum, and they're not all fucking psychopathic murderers, but some of them are. Some people are psychopathic fucking murderers. And there is no fixing them. There is no fucking mitigating the fact that they're fucking insane. Oh, Jesus. Now Dale's coming in. I'm skipping your super chat for now, Dale. I see you, but I'm skipping you for now. We'll get to your fucking shit. Yeah. Some people can't be fixed, bro. And I don't even believe in the death penalty, and I've already made the case multiple times for why that is. But there is no fixing some people. Some people are just bad. Some people are just evil. Some people are so evil that there is no coming back for them. You know, there are examples of people that do incredible evil, such as Majid Nawaz, who do reform. But the fact is that it's within a fucking hair's breadth that guy wasn't dead. And he says it himself. He says it himself that he was a cunt hair away from being a fucking full-blown jihadist, and he would have died. So Meiji Noiz is honestly like the best example you can get for somebody that is a hair's breadth away from being a fucking dead jihadist and managed to reform himself. He's an exception, bro. He's not the rule. Rags is in the chat saying, Rags is just in the chat. The Last Jedi was a shit film. Thanks for the input, Rags. I'm pretty sure you're the first person with that opinion. Anyways, let's move on. Clearly, Ridley's thoughts about weakness transcend thinking about it in terms of a character and rather serves as an outlook on her personal life. Well, that is true, but she also is speaking about her character. Even Kylo Ren, in his villainous nature, is rooted in it. By the way, space, where is it? Editing, what is it? In a warped sense of reality as opposed to a weakness. Well, it's because Kylo Ren is a villain, but he's basically a villain that is actively in conflict in terms of his nature, so to say. He is a villain, though, but he could otherwise be an anti-villain, maybe, but he is a villain. During the Q&A, one fan implied that Rey's weakness was her focus on her parents. I like how her weakness is a fucking bad subplot. An unexplained subplot is her fucking weakness. Terrible writing is Rey's weakness. Thank you. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, God. I just can't. Where was I? I don't even remember where I was. Their parents and desire to reconnect with them, which Ridley disagreed with. So she doesn't even agree that that's a weakness. So then she has no weaknesses. That literally a bad plot line is not even her fucking weakness. I don't think that's a weakness. Great question, but I don't think that's a weakness. Ridley noted. I think longing for something, there's usually a reason for your longing for it. By the way, it's a selfish interest. By the way, it's a selfish, self-serving interest, by the way. It's not like there's a whole galaxy at stake. She's worried about her fucking parents. It's a selfish interest. Even though she's very hopeful about moving forward, there's clearly some stuff that she needs to put to bed, and that is all going to help her moving forward. So I don't think that's a weakness. I think it's a wonderful, again, source of... Jesus Christ. You tell that there's a lot going on in the brain department with this woman. Sort of adds to the brilliant hopefulness that what may have happened wasn't so bad, like that she wasn't just left there by these awful people, and also it leads her to this amazing journey where she's great at everything instantly. Man, I wish I was a fucking orphan so that way I could be great at everything. I don't even care. The Last Jedi virtually shattered all of our notions about the black and white, good and evil, strength and weakness outlook we had of the Star Wars saga. Yeah, and that's why it fucking sucks. The Last Jedi is likely the worst fucking Star Wars movie, and that says a lot. It says a lot that people now look fondly back at the fucking prequels when they were hated years afterwards. The fact that people are looking back, yeah, the prequels weren't so bad, just because the most recent movies are fucking that terrible. It says a lot about the state of this fucking franchise, of which I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Star Wars. I like Star Wars. And I've said it before. You want to win me as a fan? Here you go. Here's a movie. Republic versus Empire. Sith versus fucking Jedi. Just do that. Fucking knock my phone over, hit the fucking desk so hard. Why does every movie need to be a fucking space opera romance with characters that are fucking insufferable that go ultimately nowhere? Why must it be that and not simply a story of the Sith versus a Jedi, the Republic versus the Empire. Why can't it fucking be 3 movies of that? Why can't we have 3 movies of that? Why can't it be black versus fucking white? I don't know. Let me know in the fucking comment section. Because I don't understand it. The Last Jedi is available on Blu-ray 20s. By the way, what I love about fucking this movie, about The Last Jedi, is how hard it tanked in foreign audiences. This movie did terrible overseas. And one of the biggest things that people talked about is the fact that this was supposed to be really big in China, because a lot of different Western movies are big in China. This movie did horrific in fucking China. And it's because this is a shitty SJW crap film that shits on the fucking lore, shits on the whole franchise, and it's insufferable. It's a terrible movie. Just in its own right, it's a terrible movie. It deserves to do poorly. I see people commenting about fucking, what's her name? Fat Asian girl with the stupid haircut. I don't even remember her fucking name. Is it Rosa? Is that the fucking name of that cunt? Rose? Was it just Rose? That character was so terrible. Well, it's like what I love. I said to my friend in the theaters, I said all of the fucking East Asian actresses in the world, and they find the one ugly dumpy one. I said that to him in the theaters. Like you have to include an Asian woman, and you find the one dumpy, ugly Asian actress in the fucking world to cast for that character. Her sister was even better looking than her in the movie. It was terrible. They killed, Taco Liquor, you are correct. They killed off the hot Asian at the start of the film and keep the Uggo one. That's correct. That is actually correct, Taco Liquor. Good point. And I don't understand it. Kill the fat sister. Keep the hot one. I'm all good with a fucking hot Asian character in Star Wars, so long as it's a decent character. Anyways, I'll get to the super chats because I missed some. So LM gave another super chat, but LM, I'm done debating it. I appreciate the support, but I'm done debating the issue. Bazinski says, this SJW new trilogy crushed my soul as a fan. Same here, bro. I didn't have high hopes going into it, believe me. I had low expectations. If you want a great in-depth analysis of the film, see the review by the channel Mauler. Okay. I don't really need an in-depth analysis of that fucking piece of shit. You don't really need it. It was terrible. It was terrible. There's the fucking review for it. It was a terrible movie. That's as far as it needs to go. Basinski. Rey defeated Imperial Snoke's guards, elite warriors. Malau in his first analysis video had just a supercut of Mark Hamill having panic attacks due to Luke being completely rewritten and shat upon. Really? What do you mean by that? What do you mean he has panic attacks? I know that he had some statement that is now notorious where he said to Rian Johnson or Johnston, whatever, that he fundamentally disagrees with all the changes that have been done to the character, something like that. Like he's openly, up until when Disney basically cracked the whip and he stepped back in line. Which I don't even understand why he does. Dude, you're old as shit. You're going to be dead sooner or later. Why not just fucking go all out? Who cares? What are they going to do? They already killed your character. Who cares? Just go all out and say what needs to be said. They fucking destroyed your character, man. And it's your iconic role. They destroyed it. You should have grew a spine and refused to make the changes. You should have argued it. You should have said you were going to walk off the stage, walk off the set if they would have done what they did. You could have done it, dude. You're fucking Mark Hamill. You could have done it. Should have grown a spine. Dale says, what is wrong with raping children? Are you Islamophobic? Google censors super chats. Can't use meaning or bad words, lame. I'll say it here. I can say it, but that's Google. What can you do? I appreciate the support, Dale. I'm surprised. I know. I think Sargon has put that on his all cultures are equal or whatever series that he has on his secondary channel. Those meme videos he does. Baczynski says this is part in the Mueller review where he showed Hamill having panic attacks in an interview due to his character rewrites. Yeah, I mean, I guess I saw him lash out in certain interviews. Everyone's saying go watch Mauler. Even Rags is saying go watch Mauler. Fuck you! I'm not gonna do it just because you told me to do it. No, fucking do it. Mauler. Okay, don't play shit. Apparently he's done a bunch of fucking videos on it. Which video are you talking about? A critique of Star Wars: The Last Jedi? Because he's done like a bunch of it. Wow, he does a. God damn, dude, he does like a. Dude, he did like a 7-part critique of ukulele. That's crazy. You did a fucking 11-part critique of Outlast. Jesus. I know this is me saying it, but just concise editing. Editing is a thing. All right. Well, I'll keep that on standby to see. It's 10 minutes. Is it which video? Is it the first video? Is it the first video that you're talking about here?
Hello there.
The first video is a fucking hour long, dude. Hang on. 10 minutes.
As they rain down on the galaxy after losing their suit.
You're gonna have to tell me which video because it doesn't appear to be the first one. Part 1 of the Last Jedi review. I think you mean a critique of Star Wars. I'm 10 minutes in. I don't see it.
Super weapon. They still have immense power. Why hasn't the galaxy decided?
Oh, here we go. It's 12.
Was accommodating, but basically patted me on the head, gave me a cookie, and made me go away.
So the film opens up with the familiar plot of episode 5, which was expected as episodes.
I don't see what you're talking about. Sorry. God damn, those are fucking long. All right, like I said, I'll take a look at it. I'll take a look. I'll rewind this and watch it later. Yeah, it was a terrible movie. I don't really think that it requires 5 hours of fucking explanation to explain why it's fucking terrible. It's kind of obvious that it's a terrible fucking film. I don't really see too many people outside of journals arguing that it's anything but a piece of shit. Somebody sent me an article, drunk judge, something like that. I guess I'll take a look at that later. Okay, that's pretty much it on that. Double check Gab really quick. What the fuck? I love Ben Shapiro now. Talking about immigration. What is it? What is this video?
Okay, so meanwhile, the President of the United States, President Trump, has now decided that he wants to put the military on our southern border, and Democrats are losing their minds. Here's President Trump announcing that he wants to put the military on the border yesterday.
Well, I mean, if he is going to talk about securing the border, then he's flying in his face what he said previously. Like, yeah, I'm sure he's not in favor of illegal immigration, but he does support mass immigration in terms of legal immigration. He has specifically said, I am a libertarian on immigration, which means he's largely for open borders. Just because you give somebody citizenship doesn't mean that it's not just mass immigration. So, okay. Do you like Red Letter Media? I enjoy meticulous deconstruction of bad things. I know who they are, but I don't really watch them. I've seen people tweet more memes than I've ever really seen anything by them. How long until somebody brings up Andy Worski? But I had somebody tweeted something at me the other day, like, "Oh man, oh god, what was it? Like, you talk shit about whoever, you need to go on Talkasaw." Let me see if I can find that mention. I was just like, okay. Let me see if I can find it. Whoever I was allegedly talking shit about. Can I find it? Can I find it? I'm not finding it. Where is it? Maybe they deleted it. Yeah, I can't find it. Anyway, somebody said that I was talking shit about somebody. I don't even remember who it was, but they're like, "You need to get on Tonkasa's show." It's like, yeah, well, my position still stands, $1,000 appearance fee. You want me on there? You got me. It's just $1,000 to get me on. But I don't really feel the need to talk about those channels other than that. You need to watch them tear apart. Are you talking about Red Letter Media now? Talking about watching them just tear apart the prequel trilogy? I don't really care much about the prequels. You have to understand that, like, I read the I forget the name of the Lord or Darth or whatever his name is. He's the Sith Lord that established what is called the Rule of Two. I hate that shit. I read the books and the books weren't bad, but I hate the Rule of Two, which is what leads up to the prequels, where you have one apprentice and one Sith Lord. I hate that shit. I think that's garbage, and it enables the fucking bullshit of, like, you have a handful of Sith and you have a handful of Jedi, and then it's just fucking romance and drama shit. I think that's garbage. I want thousands of Sith versus thousands of Jedi, Republic versus Empire. That's what I want to see. I'm sick of handful of Sith, handful of fucking Jedi. It's literally every fucking game, every fucking movie. Just tweeted you the timestamp of... Okay, I'll click it.
Them. So it's still a little bit off for me. Rey then goes to talk with Luke and he explains that Jedi are now deified even though their true legacy is failure, citing that at the height of their power they allowed Darth Sidious to rise and wipe them out, as well as Darth Vader being trained and created by a Jedi Master. Rey then turns the conversation by reminding Luke that he saved the galaxy from Vader.
Okay, here we go.
Back to the light, and he is a Jedi. Luke refers to himself as a legend, then explains the 30 years of history we've all been waiting for. Luke trained Ben in a temple along with many other students, and then he saw darkness within him. One night he confronted him, and Ben buried Luke under a structure. When Luke woke up, his temple was in flames, and his students either left with Ben or were slaughtered. Luke then says he failed because he was a Skywalker. A legend. That's it. That is our full history aside from a tweak or two.
And if you think you're going to go into the movie and recapture your childhood, you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
It's time to discuss something very important. As you may very well have noticed, I've been showing clips of Mark Hamill and his journey throughout interviews with the press.
Oh my god, the look on his face.
I'm in awe of the entire cast. And aside from Daisy, I look forward to working with them one day.
Wow. Dude, he has a fucking dead ass fucking glare on his face. Holy shit. Wow, he could not look more serious. Wow, he could not have a fucking more fucking stone face glare than when he said that. Holy shit. Wow. That's fucking insane. Oh man. I guess I'll have to watch that because I've never seen that clip before. That's crazy.
End on that note, can't we? I'm afraid we have to because that is all we've got time for.
Julie's stone-faced.
Nor did he appreciate how he was treated even as far back as The Force Awakens.
I got a phone call. You're not on the poster. I said, fine, it's just another in a series of humiliations.
I have a massive amount of respect for this man and his clarity when voicing his opinions on Luke and his goals in life of bringing joy while maintaining respect and a form of dignity. He has a strong investment in his work and stays light in most of his appearances to best represent an aged Luke Skywalker to the world. But my point here is that he has a lot of fun.
I hate to admit, when I became a Pez dispenser, I ran into Harrison's dressing room. I said, Harrison, I'm a Pez dispenser. And he looked up and he said, whatever, butcher, bro. It looks like a soccer ball, and he's got the rotating little dome on top, and he's adorable. And then you just make it in that sinister dark color with the flat edges on his dome, and immediately, Nazi!
He honestly
That's a good line. That's a good line. It's 10 minutes showing Hamill losing. Yeah, well, I mean, the thing you got to remember though that Hamill is an eccentric guy, so you got to remember that Mark Hamill is an eccentric guy, and he always been. So I don't know if that's the proof that you necessarily want, because he's always been like kind of like that. But I appreciate the information. I'll have to watch this when I have more time, but it's now midnight. So we'll get to a few questions. I'll post the video in chat. Somebody just asked what I'm watching, so I'll post that in chat. I don't know if it's going to work, though, because chat is fucking stupid. Let's see if it works.
I'm a Pez dispenser.
Yep, it works. Okay, so I'll answer a few questions more, and then we'll end this. Darth Padme. I think chat's trying to catch up. But yeah, I'll watch that video just to see him, because it's already shown some stuff I haven't seen before. So, do you think that the U2 will use this incident as more reason to take down gun channels like Hick OK 45? Probably. I mean, they're not above politicizing something in order to pursue something they already wanted to. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did something like that. Have fun at your meetings, Tim. Enjoy yourself there. You only don't like Kyle Kalinske because you sound just like him. I don't think I really do. I don't think I sound like Kyle Kalinske. Africa is breaking into 2 continents. You lived long enough to see a new continent be formed. Thoughts? I don't know about that. Kyle Kalinske is Rachel Maddow in drag. I don't know who that would be more insulting for. I guess probably Kyle. Rachel Maddow is a fucking lying piece of shit. I'm not answering your stupid cat girl question there, psycho. You both sound like you lack testosterone, hence the weeb shit. Wrong. Fake news, Will. Did you see Trevor Noah and his audience applauding a woman in South Africa getting 3 years in prison for simply saying racist things? No, but I'm not surprised by it. Isn't he actually South African himself? You know, it's not too surprising since he would benefit from that system. When will you get a Discord? Never. I have a serious rant about China. One of my friends, his cousin, was disappeared by the Chinese government for protesting in Hong Kong in 2014. I absolutely believe it. But I'm not going to get any kind of Discord, sorry. But I'll take like one more and then we'll end this because it's late. I gotta figure out if what time I'm working tomorrow. Any good hentai you would recommend in honor of that earlier sortie? Not at the moment. There's been stuff coming out, but I haven't really bought anything in a while, so there's nothing really new to offer on my end. We need an ethno state for our cat girls. No. Do I have an issue with Discord? No, it's one more thing I have to maintain, and I'm not interested in that. I have hardly enough time as it is to fucking even make videos or do streams, so I don't really need one more thing I have to be concerned about. Will South Park be able to get away with making fun of David Hogg? Yes. They don't care. They like the Trey and what is it, Matt Park or whatever. They went to some event. It was like a left-leaning event to win an award, and they trolled them by saying that they're Republicans. When I don't even think they are. I don't even think they are Republicans, but like, yeah, we're Republicans. They went there and did that on purpose to fucking with them, to fucking troll them, even though they're not that. I don't really have a least favorite anime. I just have a couple anime, different, like a couple different anime that I don't like, but that's about it. I don't really have anyone that's necessarily my least favorite. Is it wrong for a vegan to eat pussy? Talk to a vegan about that before she shoots you, that is. Matt Stone and Trey Park are libertarians. Yeah, like I said, they've never struck me as like particularly conservative or Republican. I've never gotten that vibe ever from them. So for them to come right out and say, yes, we're Republican, that to me strikes me as a troll. How much Wendy's do I eat? As little as possible. I'm not a big... I eat more fast food than I should because of my job, but I try not to eat much like junk food anymore. Any more? Any more before we go? Just one, just one more before we go, guys. Just one more. I hate the slowdown. It's like chat is fucking speeding along as I'm reading articles, but the second I stop, it's like fucking everything drops off the face of the earth and no one has anything. Yeah, I want a solid last question. Best video game system in your opinion? PC. That's not much of a question. What is there even to buy on the PS4 or Xbox this generation? And fuck Nintendo. I don't give a shit about Nintendo. What is in your new computer? That's a good question. I can't quite remember. Let me, I'll bring up my specs. Oh, system information. I still got my NVIDIA 980 in it. I didn't change my video card because it's just too much. Oh yeah, I got I got new memory. I got 16 gigabytes DDR4 RAM. I forgot what was the CPU I got. Oh man, I don't even remember. Bonus. Tell me what I got. Oh, I got a new display. I got a 1300 440 by 1440 monitor. It's just a Dell monitor, but it was a lot cheaper than the other monitors that were around that the same scale, but just much higher in price. And it's very good. I really like it. It's a curved monitor. I really like it. Very glad I got it. I got a 1 point something terabyte solid state drive that's really, really good. It's pretty fucking expensive, but it was worth it. I've never had a solid state drive before this, and I can say that it's definitely worth it. It's insanely fast compared to otherwise not having it. I'm trying to remember what my motherboard, and I guess I could just try to look it up. Because like I said, I'm not a hardware guy. I basically came up with my own specs, and then I basically went to my father, and I was like, you need to look over this shit, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. And you got to tell me if this is shit or not. And he pretty much like looked it over, and he's like, I don't know, this is kind of shit. And he researched some parts, and we debated it, and talked about the price, and we basically built up a couple different builds, and pretty much just debated the prices. And after a decent amount of debate, we actually came to what we wanted, and then I bought it all. So my CPU is an AMD Ryzen 7 1800X processor. I'm trying. Is that 8 gigabytes? Yeah, 8 cores. 8 gigabytes. It's 8 cores. And I'll have to go to Newegg to find my. Oh god damn! Why am I gonna log into this shit all over again? You know, Jesus. Did it fuck that up? So type it all over again. Fuck. And okay, let me check my orders, and I will tell you what my. Yeah, I got a new cooling system for my CPU. Just it's bigger than the last one. I had some trouble with it getting into the case because my case isn't super huge. It's a full tower, but it's not big enough. And we had to struggle with the. I got a a big cooler on my CPU now, and a one fan liquid cool on my video card as well, because the last system I had, the last build I had, for whatever reason, I was having heat issues with my video card. So I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to put a cooler on it and take care of it with that. But my motherboard is an Asus ROG Strix B350F gaming AM4 AMD 350 SATA 6 gigabyte. And the rest of it doesn't really matter. But it's another AMD. It's an AMD motherboard that was very compatible with the processor, so that's why I bought it. So for those of you that really give a shit about fucking hardware, there you go. There's my specs for the system I have now. Yeah, I have played the new Far Cry. You must not follow me on Twitter. I'm not. I debated whether I wanted to do a review of it or not. You're probably not going to get it. I was considering talking about it today, but I wish someone would have reminded me earlier, because I don't really feel like talking about it at this point. I'm not getting a Switch. I've never had a single Nintendo console in my life, and I'm never going to have one. But yeah, I guess that that concludes really the stream because I answered that question that somebody asked. Is there any more? There was a 16-year-old Briton arrested for killing one of the burglars with a knife. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the migrant caravan and the president ordering the National Guard to defend the border. I guess I didn't have time for that. I forgot about that. It happened today. So unfortunately, I can't get to that either. It's, there's a lot to go through with that. It's kind of a hard issue to explain in a concise manner. The only thing I'll end on this. So the only thing that I'll say about Far Cry 4 is that for those of you that have beat the game, and I won't spoil it, somebody asked, do I regret going to college? Yes. I mean, I enjoyed the education and, learning and stuff like that, but it was a waste of money in my opinion. But getting back to Far Cry 5, with the ending, there's for those of you that have beat it, I want you to think about the real ending, not the stupid ending that ends after 2 seconds and it goes nowhere and it makes barely any sense. And that plays a certain song that our ending is garbage. But the true ending of the game, I strongly suggest you consider the fact of game theory and of false information, disinformation that is given to you, and producing a scenario that would guarantee belief in you. Because the ending, if taken at face value, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But if you look at it from the perspective of it involving a cult leader and what cult leaders are known to be, such as what Joseph Smith was convicted as in New York, that's what that ending was, in my opinion. It doesn't mean what happened didn't happen necessarily, but what it does mean is that who you would think did it didn't do it. So, yeah, maybe at another time I can get into that more if I feel like spoiling it, but I have my own theory for the ending of that game, and it wasn't able to save the game. I would still give the game probably a below average score outside of the acting. The acting and some of the visuals and stuff like that was very good. The main actor that played Father Seed, I forget his name, he was very good. The girl that played Faith was very good. The guy that played not Jake. Jacob was shit. His actor was bad. John Seed, I think it was. Yeah, John Seed, he was good. There were people in that game that were very good actors, and I liked their script and I liked their acting ability. But the plus sides of that game were not enough to save it, to be sure. All right, and there's a last super chat. Hey, Lewis. Completely unrelated, but what do you think of the Half-Life games? I think that I'm glad people have largely stopped talking about them because I always considered them to be overrated. That's my opinion of the Half-Life games. And notice no one's talking about them anymore. For years and years, people would never shut the fuck up about them, but no one's talking about them anymore, and I'm glad that's the case. Because they were always fucking overrated, and they were never going to go anywhere anyways. So there's no point in just endlessly talking about them. Velocity says, thanks, Lou, and thank you for the support. All right, so we're going to end it there. Thanks for everybody that stopped by. Thanks for everyone that gave me the super chats, including the guy that's politically illiterate. Thanks for everyone for listening and following along. I apologize for the lack of content recently, but I've been very busy with work, and I have a lot being worked on currently, and I'm all set to get it done. I just need the time to do it. I'm hoping tomorrow is that day where I can get a decent amount done and provide you guys with some decent entertainment and some informative entertainment as well. So be sure to visit the affiliate links in the description unless you're Canadian and they're going to confiscate your manga. So if that's the case, you can otherwise support me on Patreon or Maker Support. And thanks for stopping by, and I hope to have more content for you in the near future.